told me not to intervene, so I burned a treaty and bought her in chains. I saw her standing in that market, bruised, bound, unbroken. They said she was property. They didn't feel the bond slam into my bones. She doesn't want to be saved. She wants to be seen. Good. Because I don't want gratitude. I want her fury, her fire, her fearsome, furious freedom. And I want it pointed only at me. Now the covens are circling. The war drums are calling. And my bloodline, the secret they buried, is rising like flame through frost. I'm the son of a broken prophecy, the heir of a shattered world, and the only vow I'll keep is this. I am not her savior. I am her storm. Stay tuned for fated mates, chains turned to fire, and an heir who worships the rebel woman who refused to kneel. Happily ever after guaranteed. Chapter 1. Arvin. Diplomacy. I've heard the word my entire life. My mother speaks it like a prayer, my father like a warning. Peace is a blade you must hold by the handle, not the edge, she likes to say. He prefers. Diplomacy is simply war spoken slowly. Both of them told me to keep my temper today, and so naturally my temper is already a step ahead of me. The rival Coven's market is a sprawling open courtyard carved from dark stone, banners snapping overhead in the cold wind. Stalls lined in neat rows, merchants shouting, metals and silks glinting, the scent of iron and spiced wine and blood. I travel with a diplomatic envoy, 2 scholars, a diplomat, and 3 guards, all of whom are older, slower, and excessively concerned with the proper forms. I am here to observe, not to act, not to negotiate, certainly not to challenge. I can already hear Soren's voice in my skull. You are a spark. Try not to ignite anything today. And Mira's softer. Arvin, listen first. Act second. I mean to. I always mean to. But then, I see her. She stands among a line of enslaved humans at the far end of the courtyard. Thin, wrists bound, hair tangled from travel and rough handling. And yet she stands like a spear driven into the earth. Straight, untouched, unbroken. Her eyes, sharp green, bright even against dust and bruising, meet mine across the distance. Something hits me, hard enough that my breath stutters. A crack under my ribs, a flare of heat that rushes through every vein and nerve. My heart slams into a rhythm that is not my own, and yet is mate. The word is not spoken. It is not thought. It simply is. My feet move before the envoy notices I've left. I cross the courtyard as though pulled by a hook through my chest. The noise of the market dims, drowned beneath the rush of blood. The closer I get, the sharper everything becomes. Her scent, salt and wind and something like crushed leaves. Her posture rigid with tension. Her eyes bright with fury. She sees me coming and does not look away. Most enslaved humans do. They lower their heads as instructed. She meets my gaze like a blade meeting another blade. I stop before her. She speaks first. If you're buying, she says, voice rough but steady, don't pretend you're saving. Her defiance hits me like a blow to the sternum, because she has no idea what she is to me. What fate just stitched between us. What fire roars against my ribs. I swallow. Words feel clumsy on my tongue. I try again. What is your name? Her eyes narrow. Ivali. Ivali. The name fits her. Sharp. Clear. The merchant beside her sees my armor, my crest, and brightens like a vulture spotting fresh meat. Ah, young prince of the Mira-Soren line, he says, bowing with a flourish that stinks of practiced greed. A fine eye you have. She's one of my strongest. She's not yours, I say before I can stop myself. The merchant blinks. My lord, she is very much... She is not, I repeat, voice low. My blood is hot, loud. Every instinct urges me forward. Claim, protect, defend. It is instinctive, ancient, written in the marrow of rock and bone. But Ivali's jaw tightens, not in gratitude, in resentment. She steps slightly back, not from fear, but from making space between us. "I don't belong to you either," she says, voice cool. The words land with perfect precision. A warning, a promise, a line drawn. The mate bond thrashes inside me, raw, insistent, but I force it still. She does not know. She does not feel it. Not yet. Not fully. For Vraken, mate bond strikes like lightning. For humans, it blooms like a bruise. Slow, painful, earned. And chains still circle her wrists. Just looking at them makes my vision flicker pale silver at the edges. The Perna part of me, my mother's blood, my grandmother's legacy, stirs with old, dangerous power. I clench my fists until my scars ache. The envoy reaches me at last, breathless and flustered. Our diplomat tries to laugh lightly. "Prince Arvin, perhaps we should focus on the negotiations we came for." "No," I say, without taking my eyes from Ivali's. "She comes with us." The diplomat pales. "That would imply purchase, which would imply ownership, which, given your parents' reforms, would imply political intent, which—" "I don't own people," I snap. "I free them." Ivali's eyes flicker, surprise, then something like confusion. No belief. Not yet. She has no reason to expect mercy from Vraken, or from anyone. The merchant tuts. "If your coven wants freedom so much, you may buy up every human here. I do not refuse coin." Coin, blood, politics. Every word tastes foul. Ivali watches me, wary but unwavering. She is not afraid of me. She is afraid of what being wanted might mean. I step closer, not touching her, just close enough that only she hears me. "I don't want to cage you," I say, voice low. "I want you safe. That is all." Her breath catches, not soft but sharp, as if my words hit where her armor thins. She looks away first, not in surrender, in survival. "I don't need saving," she says. "I know," I answer, "but I need you alive." She goes still at that, not melting, not softening. But something in her posture shifts, an acknowledgement, a flicker. The envoy murmurs urgently behind me. "Prince Arvin, your parents gave explicit instructions. Do not intervene in market transactions today. We are here to keep peace, not provoke a dispute." Yes. I know that. I know that with every instinct that tries to restrain me. But I also know this. If I walk away, I will never breathe right again. This is not a desire, not pity, not impulse. This is the bond that shaped the history of my bloodline. This is the fire that forged Mira and Selene before her. This is the inheritance I was born into. If I leave her here, I betray everything I am, and everything I will become. I turn fully to the merchant. "What is your price?" He names a number so high the diplomat makes a strangled sound. I don't blink. "Done." The envoy hisses. "Arvin!" "Record it," I say, my voice not loud but absolute. "On my authority." The diplomat looks like he might faint, but he nods, slowly, reluctantly, because he knows my word carries my parents' weight. The merchant bows again, pleased beyond measure. Of course. I will prepare the release papers immediately. Kindly wait while I fetch—" "No," I say. Ivali lifts her eyes to mine again. I don't touch her. I only stand beside her, so close that our shoulders almost brush. So close she can feel that I will not leave. "I will wait," I say, "with her." The envoy retreats to handle negotiations. The merchant scurries off. The crowd moves around us like a river parting around a stone. Ivali speaks again, soft enough only I hear. "You shouldn't have done that." I turn to her. "Why?" "Because now," she says, voice steady but quiet, Everything that happens next is on you. I exhale once. Slow. Then I'll face it, I say. She studies me, not impressed, not grateful, just searching. And for the first time, a shadow of a different expression crosses her face. Not fear, not anger. Recognition. As if some part of her, deep, hidden, felt the bond thrumming beneath her skin. Not fully, but enough. Enough to change everything.
Chapter 2. Evali. Markets all smell the same, no matter the city, no matter the banners hung overhead. Sweat, iron, wine, lies. Somewhere, always, a child crying. Somewhere, always, a laugh sharp enough to cut. It doesn't matter if the stones are polished black marble or dirt trampled by hooves. Misery leaves the same taste in the air. I stand in a line of others, wrists bound in iron cuffs that have rubbed raw skin into bruised welts. The cuffs don't bother me anymore. Not the pain of them, anyway. Pain is just information. Pain tells you what parts of you still work. I breathe slowly. Hold my spine straight. Let my gaze drift without lingering. I am not weak. I am not defeated. I am simply waiting for the moment that will open a door. I have survived worse than markets. There is a merchant nearby negotiating with a Vrakan trader, tall, armoured, with crimson glowing eyes, because everything about Vrakan must look theatrical. I don't bother listening to details. Their words always circle the same points: value, condition, and obedience. They never ask whether we have names, histories, or dreams. That would ruin the illusion that we are objects, not people. It's almost a game, the way I watch them. I map movement. I study exits. I count steps to the nearest alley, the nearest rooftop ledge I could reach if I got free. I count guards. I count weapons. I count how many heartbeats I would get before being tackled. Survival, for me, has always meant being 3 thoughts ahead and 10 breaths quiet. But today someone is staring at me. Not glancing, not assessing value. Staring. With the kind of intensity that is not the merchant's greedy appraisal, nor the guard's boredom, nor the buyer's casual cruelty. Something sharper. Something like recognition. He stands beyond the crowd, taller than the nobles beside him. Broad shoulders, black hair streaked faintly silver. Not old, but marked. His armour is dark, trimmed in silver instead of gold. Practical. Regal only by accident. His eyes should be like other Vrakan eyes, crimson, hungry. But when they land on me, they change, not colour. Focus. Like something in him just woke up. I have seen obsession. I have seen desire. I have seen men claim ownership with only a glance. This is not that. This is something I do not have a word for. My pulse stumbles just once. I tighten my jaw, straighten my shoulders, and look away. He is probably just another noble boy who wants a new pet, or a new excuse to pretend he is merciful. I've seen their type, the ones who buy one human and call it charity, like that fixes the rot of the world. I feel him moving closer before I see him move. I have good instincts. They've kept me alive longer than most. His footsteps stop in front of me. I lift my chin slowly, calm, sharp. I make sure I look unimpressed. He is young, maybe my age, maybe a year or 2 older. His face has that careful, poised confidence trained into nobility. But his eyes look like someone sliced the sky open and lit something new inside him. When he speaks, his voice is low, controlled. What is your name? Not what is she called. Not what is her lot number. That's dangerous. Dangerous kindness. It loosens things in people, makes them believe. I do not believe. So I bare my teeth in something that could be a smile, but isn't. If you're buying, I say, voice steady. Don't pretend you're saving. I expect offence, irritation, disgust. What I get is stillness. As if every word I just spoke sank straight into him and lodged there. He doesn't look away, doesn't raise a hand, doesn't laugh like most arrogant nobles do when challenged by something they think beneath them. He just breathes, slowly, like he's forcing himself to. Then he asks again, softer this time. What is your name? And I say it, not because he deserves it, but because I refuse to be erased. Evali. The merchant perks up immediately, cheer sharpening his voice. Ah, Prince Arvin of the Mirasorin lineage has good taste. This one is strong, obedient. Obedient, I say, and the word tastes like ash. The merchant snaps his jaw shut, remembering too late that I can talk. But the noble Arvin never looks away from me. She's not obedient, he says. She's surviving. It is the first true thing I've heard here in months. A flicker cracks the armour I've built. Not trust, not gratitude, just shock. That he saw that he named it. The merchant, sensing coin, tries to talk over us. Of course, a valuable investment for your noble house. She is not an investment, Arvin says, voice suddenly sharp enough to cut the air. Do not speak of her like that again. Several guards nearby turn their heads. I swallow. My heart is doing something unfamiliar, something unwelcome, something reckless. Arvin steps closer, not touching, not crowding, just near enough that I can feel warmth. Safety? No, I refuse to think that word. He murmurs just loud enough for me alone. I won't let them touch you again. I almost laugh, not out of humour, out of disbelief that he thinks words can unwind chains, that wanting something means having power over it. But one of the guards reaches forward, just checking my restraints, just adjusting position, and before I even register movement, Arvin's hand is on the guard's wrist, not violently, just stopping him. The guard looks startled. The merchant looks alarmed. The envoy behind Arvin looks like he is calculating the exact number of treaties currently being threatened. Arvin doesn't look at any of them, only at me. That is the moment I understand I am not dealing with a noble boy playing hero. He is deadly serious, and he has power, but power is not the same as salvation. I say, voice quiet so the others cannot hear, you shouldn't do this. His jaw tightens. Why not? Because nobles don't stay, I whisper. They decide, they claim, they feel righteous, and then they walk away when it costs them something. He flinches, not visibly, but I see it. Because that's true. My heart is beating too fast. It feels like something is pushing against my ribs from the inside, like something is trying to wake. His voice is quiet. I'm not walking away from you. I should not feel anything at that. I should not let warmth into the places I've kept cold to survive. But something responds to him, like a string pulled taut between us. I force myself back behind the walls I know. I have to. What I feel, I say, is nothing. The lie tastes like blood. His eyes sharpen, but he doesn't push. He only nods. Slow. Steady. As you wish, he says. But you won't stand alone. And for a breath, just one, I let myself believe him. Not safe, not saved, not his, just seen. Then I look away. Because believing in anything hurts too much.
Chapter 3. Arvin. The waiting is a lie. I stand beside her, the air around us thickening with a tension that has nothing to do with commerce and everything to do with the storm I just invited. The merchant is taking too long with the papers. The envoy is whispering frantically to the guards. And Evali is still in chains. I look down at the blackened iron binding her wrists. The sight makes something old and buried rise in my chest. Rage. Not the kind that shouts. The kind that burns clean. I am done with diplomacy. I turn to the merchant, who is fumbling with a quill, his hands shaking under my gaze. "Give me the key," I say. "My lord," he stammers, ink blotting on the parchment. "The key. Now. My prince. That would violate the market's protocol until the transfer is officially recorded. We must wait for the seal." I don't wait for him to finish. The mate bond is thrumming in my veins, a drumbeat demanding action. Protocol is a cage I am no longer willing to sit inside. My sword is in my hand before I make the conscious decision to draw it. The steel sings as it clears the scabbard. Ivali's eyes widen, her breath hitching. I don't look at the merchant. I look at the iron links connecting her wrists. "Hold still," I murmur. One stroke of the silvered edge. The chain falls apart with a ringing sound that cuts through the entire square. For a heartbeat, the world goes still. Then it explodes. "An act of war!" someone shouts from the noble balconies above. "Blasphemy!" cries another. "He defies the accord! He has drawn steel in the neutral zone!" Guards surge forward, spears raised, their armor clattering like thunder. Merchants scream. The crowd scatters. Ivali stands frozen, staring at the broken links at her feet, disbelief etched across her face. I lift my sword again, placing myself between her and the advancing guards. "She is mine," I say, my voice carrying over the chaos. "By bond." The words leave me before I can think. They don't come from logic or reason. They come from something deeper, something ancient. The moment I speak them, I feel it. A pulse of energy runs through me, sharp and bright, settling in the hollow of my chest. My blood sings, every heartbeat thrumming with a strange, fierce certainty. Ivali gasps behind me. I feel it as if her breath has brushed my spine. Whatever force binds Vraken to their mates, whatever old magic we've turned into myth, it has just awoken. The nearest guard lunges. I move without thought. My sword catches his, twisting the angle, sending his blade skidding aside. My strength feels doubled. No, amplified. Every motion faster, sharper, alive. Another swings from the right. I duck under his strike, drive a kick into his chest, send him sprawling. The air crackles with energy, crimson light flickering at the edges of my vision. I can hear the war drums in the distance. Real or imagined, I can't tell. Every noble watching must know this means blood. No Vraken prince binds himself to a human. It is treason, sacrilege, and rebellion all at once. Still, I fight. I fight because something inside me has already chosen her. A spear grazes my shoulder. Pain sears down my arm and the bond flares in answer. Heat and instinct and clarity. I feel Ivali behind me, the tremor in her breath, the quick hammer of her heart. It drives me harder, faster. "Arvin!" someone shouts, one of my house guards torn between loyalty and fear. "Stand down! You'll doom us all!" Maybe I already have. Two more guards rush forward. I parry, spin, and slam a hilt into one's jaw. The other tries to catch me off balance, but I've stopped fighting like a prince trained for ceremony. I fight like someone with something to lose. The crowd recoils from me now, whispers of mad and bond-touched echoing like ghosts. Ivali's voice reaches me through the din, quiet, incredulous. Why? I don't have an answer that makes sense. All I can say, breathing hard, sword raised, is because I couldn't watch anymore. That truth is enough. When the last guard hesitates, fear flashing in his crimson eyes, I know I have won this moment, if not the war it promises. The square is chaos. Nobles retreating, shouting for envoys and executioners. Smoke rising from overturned braziers. Ivali's chains lie broken at her feet, glinting in the sunlight like something dead and defeated. I turn to her. Her expression is unreadable. Shock, fury, wonder. The kind of look someone gives a storm right before it breaks. You shouldn't have done that, she says. Maybe not, I answer. But I did. Her eyes search mine, and for a flicker of a second, the bond pulses again. Heat and understanding, fear and connection intertwined. It isn't peace. It isn't forgiveness. It is real. I sheathe my sword, blood dripping down my arm, and reach out, not to touch, but to offer. We need to move, I say, urgency finally bleeding into my voice as the sound of reinforcements echoes from the archways. Come with me. Her jaw tightens. You've doomed yourself for me. Then we'll share the doom. For a breath, the world goes silent again. The fire, the shouting, the threats, muted by the space between us. And then she steps forward, not because she trusts me, not because she is free, but because for the first time, neither of us is alone in the ruin we've made.
Chapter 4. Ivali. Chaos has a taste, metallic, sharp, like the air moments before lightning strikes. I breathe it in as the market erupts around us, soldiers shouting, nobles screaming, steel clashing, and there he is. Arvin, the noble boy with the storm eyes, sword bright, blood slick, standing between me and the entire world as though that meant something. He has cut my chains. He has declared me his by bond. I still don't know which is more shocking. Hands grab me. Guards, merchants, panic-blind civilians. For a dizzy second, everything blurs together, all shouting and dust and snapping leather. My wrists feel weightless without the iron. Wrongly weightless. A ghost pain pulses under my skin. I have worn those chains long enough for my body to remember them. I don't fight when Arvin seizes my arm and drags me through the crowd. Maybe because my legs are already moving. Maybe because instinct screams that if I stay, I'll be shackled again. Or maybe, though I loathe admitting it, because something in his touch feels like recognition. Not comfort, recognition. We dodge overturned carts, stampeding bodies, and spilled fruit rolling under our feet. The market bells are ringing now, frantic and discordant. War bells, covenant-breaking bells. The kind that means something irreversible has happened. Guards are shouting behind us. Find them! Seize the prince! Kill the girl! Not to save the prince, not bring him home. Seize, kill. He really has doomed himself. The realization hits just as he pulls me into a narrow back alley between stone vendor stalls. My breath comes in ragged pulls. My thoughts a snarl of disbelief and rage. I yank my arm free. What in the void did you think you were doing? I hiss. Arvin turns, chest heaving, blood streaked across his jaw. His sword arm trembles slightly. Whether from adrenaline or pain, I can't tell. His eyes meet mine, and something flickers there. Something raw. I wasn't going to let them sell you. You bought me, I snap. Then you claimed me. By bond, he says, low. That word, that cursed, sacred, ancient word. As if speaking makes it true. As if fate were something he could just declare aloud. You've doomed yourself for me, I say, voice shaking, not with fear, but fury. Your noble house will brand you a traitor. The other clans will want your head. They'll hunt you. They'll hunt us. His jaw tightens. I know. Then undo it. I can't. The simple finality in his tone claws at something inside me. I take a step closer, not toward him, but toward the truth between us. Do you even understand what you've done? A bond isn't a gesture. It's not a whim. It's for life. It claims. It binds. It takes choice out of the equation. His breath catches. Do you think I don't know that? I felt it, Ivali, the moment the chain broke. So had I. Like a flame igniting in the hollow of my chest, like a thread pulling taut between us, not gentle, not warm, but unbreakable. I hate it. Hate that he's taken my choice from me. Hate that it is real. Hate that some part of me, deep, wounded, starved, feels something I haven't felt in years. Wanted, not as property, not as labour, but as something that matters enough to fight for, which only makes everything worse. No one has ever fought for me before, I say, and the words come out before I can stop them. Bitter, small, too honest. He flinches. Then they should have. Should doesn't change anything, I say. Not what's been done to me. Not what you just did. You didn't free me, Arvin. You just replaced one prison with another. His gaze hardens. Not cruel, but resolute. Then I will spend every day proving otherwise. Before I can respond, before I can understand the ache forming behind my ribs, the war horns sound, deep, thunderous, the kind that shakes stone. Arvin's grip tightens around my hand, not dragging now, but urging. We need to move. We run, through winding alleys, under banners ripped loose in the chaos, across the old stone bridge that leads away from the trade district and up into the forested rise of the noble quarter. Horses scream somewhere behind us. Someone has mounted pursuit. The drums begin then, slow and distant from the hills, the kind of drums that announce armies, not guards. War drums. I spare a breath to speak. They will come for us. I know. And you don't regret it? He doesn't answer at first. Twigs snap under our boots, wind tearing at our hair as we climb the forest path toward high ground. Finally, he says, voice quiet, I regret that I didn't do it sooner. And just like that, I hate him a little less. We crest the ridge. The trees part to reveal his home on the cliffside, a stronghold of black stone and red banners, half carved into the mountainside itself. Guards shout when they see us, raising spears, until Arvin shouts a command I don't understand. They part, reluctant, suspicious, but they part. Inside, the halls are cold and towering, lit by braziers that burn blue-green with alchemical fire. The scent of steel and old magic clings to the air. This is no gentle refuge. This is a fortress built for war. Arvin leads me through corridors until we reach a quiet chamber. High-ceilinged stone walls carved with runes I don't know. He shuts the door behind us. Silence presses in. And suddenly I don't know where to put my hands. The room feels too small. The bond feels too close. My own heartbeat feels too loud. He stands across from me, sword still in his hand, blood drying on his skin. I meet his eyes. Don't mistake this, I say softly. I am not yours. Something in his expression breaks, but not the way I expect. Not possessive, not entitled, just hurting. I know, he says, but I am yours. That is worse, infinitely worse, because I believe him. I sit down, because my legs are shaking, because the world is changing and I don't know how to stop it. Outside, the war drums are getting closer. Inside, I am no longer sure who the enemy is.
Chapter 5. Arvin. The great doors of the stronghold slam shut behind us, the sound echoing through the entrance hall like the toll of a war gong. The torches along the walls flicker in the disturbance, shadows bending, stretching, recoiling. I should feel triumphant, alive, vindicated, righteous. Instead, the weight of what I've done settles across my shoulders like a mantle of iron. Ivali walks just behind me, not close enough to imply trust, not far enough to imply fear, but close, as though she can't decide if she wants to run from me or stand beside me. The guards say nothing. They only stare. Not at her. At me. Not at what I brought home. At what that means. By the time we reach the council hall, I know there will be no quiet conversation, no earned understanding, no moment of shared relief that I acted on instinct, conscience, truth. My parents are already waiting. My father stands like a carved monolith, towering, scarred, immovable. Soren, the exile turned leader. The legend people swore by in the same breath they curse his name. His crimson eyes are lit with a fire I have only seen in battle. Not rage, not yet. Restraint, the most dangerous form of anger. My mother Mira stands beside him, regal, steady, her presence always softer, but her eyes are wrong. Too bright, too sharp. Power simmers beneath her calm white light flickering within the gray-green depths. They knew long before I crossed the threshold. Word travels quickly when you drag a war behind you. My father's voice hits first. Arvin. Not son, not my boy, just my name. I should brace. I didn't. I stepped forward, chin lifted, heart pounding but steady. Before anything else is spoken, you must understand. Soren moves, just one step, but it feels like a strike. You expect us to understand? He asks, voice like gravel over steel. You walked into a rival market under truce, under diplomacy. And with your sword drawn, you declared a human your bonded mate and shattered the accords that have kept blood from flooding our borders. His voice doesn't rise. It doesn't have to. The silence after it hurts. I force my shoulders not to stiffen. I did what was right. Ivali. At the mention of her name, both of their gazes flick to her. She doesn't flinch. Of course she doesn't. But she also doesn't step forward. My mother speaks then. Her voice is soft. Which is worse. Arvin, you acted on instinct. On emotion. You know what the mate bond means. You know what it declares. To her. To us. To every coven who still believes humans belong in chains. Her gaze lowers, slowly, to Ivali's wrists. No chains, red and bruised where they were. Mira's breath trembles. Just once. Barely enough to see. Not anger then, fear. Still, I hold my ground. You freed humans, both of you. When the old order demanded their suffering, you tore it down. When the world said humans were lesser, you proved them equal. How is this different? My father's expression doesn't change, but the atmosphere does. The hall feels smaller. He steps closer until I can see the old battle scars across his throat, the ones earned in wars I had only heard stories about. You think this is the same? He asks quietly. His quiet is worse than shouting. You think breaking chains is the same as declaring a bond recognized by every ancient law of our kind? You think the world will allow a prince, my son, to claim a human, to place her at your side, to make her the future queen of a coven built on the memory of Selene? At her name, something inside my chest stills. Selene, the dawn, the martyr, the human queen who changed everything, whose death still haunts our halls. My mother's voice low. The world is not ready for another Selene. I swallow hard. Then they will adapt, I say, just as they did before. Soren's jaw clenches. His voice loses its restraint. You are not your grandfather. The words strike harder than any blade. I feel it, like a crack down my spine. For a moment, just a moment, I am a shadow, not Arvin. Just the echo of someone greater, someone gone, someone whose legend was carved into me before I ever drew breath. I force myself to speak. I know that. I do not want to be him. Then what do you want to be? My father demands. My voice comes out rough, honest. Myself. The silence that follows is deeper than any before. My mother steps forward, her face drawn, not with disappointment, but sorrow. Arvin, we are not angry because you freed her. We are angry because you did not think, because you did not plan, because you acted on a moment that will shape nations. I open my mouth, close it, because she is right, and because I would still make the same choice. I turn, not to fight them, but to anchor myself, and find Ivali watching me. Not grateful, not furious, just seeing me, really seeing me. All the restlessness, the hunger to matter, the ache of being measured against ghosts, the fire that refused to bend even when it should. She sees all of it, and does not look away. For a heartbeat, something steadies inside me. I face my parents again. I will answer for the consequences. I will stand before every coven in the realm if I must. But I will not apologize for this. I felt the bond. She felt it too. Avali sucks in a quiet breath behind me. Not denial, not agreement, just truth settling. And what of her choice? My mother asks softly. My throat tightens. I turn to Avali, not to claim her, to give her the space to speak. She looks between us, between war and memory, expectation and defiance. And when her eyes meet mine, they are green fire, wary, hurt, and still unbroken. I didn't ask for any of this, she says, voice steady, but I won't be silent in it. My father exhales sharply, a sound of understanding he does not want to have. Mira's gaze softens. Then you will be heard. No resolution, no peace, only the promise of a storm. The drums outside are still beating. War is already on its way.
From the depths of the darkness of Protheka,
Or clawing up from the realms of fantasy.
come the most fearsome beasts you have ever seen.
These monsters are done watching from the shadows.
Now, as they step into the light, something unexpected grips them.
Something even they can't fight off.
Love,
Vampires,
demons,
dark elves,
gods.
minotaurs, creatures of light and dark.
They will protect their mates.
Do whatever needs to be done.
Morally grey heroes who will burn the world to protect the women who love them.
10 audiobooks,
Fall into over 60 hours of fantasy romance.
20 ebooks,
Over 1 million words of these brutes who will protect their women.
even if they might destroy themselves in the process.
Get the immersive Protheka fantasy romance bundle.
For 80% off, right now, dive into Protheka at a once-in-a-lifetime discount.
The first bundle to offer both ebooks and audiobooks on worldsofprotheka.com. Protheka's magic is eternal, and this Romantasy bundle will make it endless. Chapter 6. Ivali. I expect stone and cold silence. I expect torchlight flickering over iron-banded doors, shadows curled in the corners, the weight of watching eyes judging every breath I take. I expect a prison wearing another name. What I find instead is warmth. The great hall of Arvin's coven is alive. Firelight blazes in high braziers, not harsh but golden, washing the stone walls in a glow that feels like late autumn sunlight. The floors are polished smooth by decades of footsteps, and long banners, crimson, silver, forest green, hang from the vaulted ceiling like ribbons caught in a gentle breeze. And people are here, so many people. Not slaves, not masters. Just living. A pair of children chase each other around a column, laughter echoing, the older one shrieking when the younger tackles him. A group of Rakan warriors play some kind of card game in the corner, good-natured insults flying between them. A human woman with sleeves rolled up to the elbows is carving bread at a long table, humming to herself. No one glances at the collar that was around my throat just hours ago. No one looks at me with hunger. No one snaps their fingers for me to kneel or bow or serve. I don't understand. I don't trust it. My feet don't want to move beyond the doorway. Every step forward feels like walking into fog, like my body still believes the chains that are gone. Arvin slows beside me, just enough that I notice. He doesn't touch me, not a guiding hand, not a claim, not a subtle suggestion of ownership. Just presence, quiet, solid. "Take your time," he murmurs. I hate that my throat tightens at the gentleness. No one has ever spoken to me like that. A flutter of motion on my left makes me tense. A woman approaches, frackened by the faint glow in her eyes, but the rest of her looks ordinary. Brown skin, hair cropped close to her skull, a small scar tugging the corner of her mouth into something that might have once been a cruel smirk, but now holds only mischief. She places her hands on her hips and looks me up and down, but not with appraisal. Recognition. "Well," she says, "you must be a Vali." I don't answer. I'm not sure if I can. Arvin steps forward, but the woman waves him away. No, don't babysit. I've got her." He actually obeys, which startles me more than anything. The woman grins, turning that attention fully to me. "I'm Arisel. I used to gut fish in a market stall. Then I gutted the man who thought he owned me. Now I'm Arvin's aunt by bond and general chaos coordinator. Welcome to the hall." My breath catches. She says it so easily. Owned, like it is a word she has burned out of existence. I don't have time to respond before another presence joins us. Tall, elegant auburn hair braided in a loose fall over one shoulder, fingers stained faintly with ink and charcoal. Her eyes are soft, steady, seeing too much and saying nothing about it. "I'm Isolde," she says, "scribe of the council, and—" her expression warms just slightly. "Friend, if you want one." The word hits harder than any chain, and still another approaches. Golden brown hair, eyes bright blue and assessing, like someone who could cut a man to ribbons with diplomacy alone. "Marion," she says simply. "I advise the council, and occasionally our men, when they forget how to speak to people like they were born of mothers rather than forgers." Arisel snorts. She means she keeps them from being idiots. "Yes," Marion says, unbothered. "That too." I stare at them. 3 women, all Vraken now, immortal, powerful. But their eyes are human. I swallow hard. "You were like me." Arisel smiles softly. Too softly. The kind of softness that knows blood and grief and still chooses warmth. "Exactly like you." "Used," Isolde adds. "Survived," Marion finishes. A silence expands between us, not painful, just full. My hands feel too light without chains, too exposed. Isolde notices. Of course she does. She steps closer, slowly, giving me time to flinch if I need to. I don't. "You don't have to pretend you're not overwhelmed," she says. I let out a shaky breath. "I don't know what to do here." Arisel shrugs. "Existing is a start." "That feels like too much," I whisper. Marion nods. "It did for us too." I look past them, to the children laughing, to the humans breaking bread beside Vraken, to the way none of this feels like the world I have known. "I don't belong here," I say. Not an accusation, just truth. Arvin, who has stepped back but never left earshot, speaks then. His voice is quiet, warm, certain in a way that makes something in my ribs tremble. "You don't have to belong yet," he says. "You only have to be here." I don't look at him. I can't, because if I did, I would feel everything I am trying not to feel. Hope, fear, want. Arisel claps her hands once, breaking the moment. "Right then, come with us. You're going to meet the worst-kept secret of this coven." Isolde smiles. "Tea." Marion sighs. Arisel is very proud of her tea. Arisel grins. "Damn right I am." They begin to lead me across the hall. After a moment, my feet move. I don't realise I have reached for Arvin until our hands aren't quite touching, just near enough to feel each other's heat. He doesn't take my hand. He doesn't ask for it. But he stays close, close enough that I understand something terrible and luminous. No one has ever fought for me before. No one has ever opened a door instead of closing one. No one has ever left a choice in my hands. It is terrifying. It is beautiful. It is freedom, and I don't know what to do with it yet. But I am still walking. Maybe that is enough, for now.
Chapter 7. Arvin. The clang of steel rings through the training hall like a heartbeat, steady and relentless. Arik's shadow falls across the polished floor, long and immovable, his presence commanding the space even before his voice cuts into mine. "You're too loose," he barks, the sharpness of his tone cutting through the rhythm of my strikes. "Your swings are sloppy. You leave openings a child could exploit." I growl under my breath, forcing the edge of my blade higher, countering one of his strikes with more strength than technique, letting muscle override finesse. Arik's eyes narrow. His crimson gaze doesn't soften, though the ember light in it betrays his slight amusement. "Strength without control is worthless, Arvin. Remember that." I slam my blade to the ground, dust rising in little clouds, my chest heaving. "I don't care about control," I snap, voice rough, hands trembling with the rush of exertion. "I care about stopping them before they touch her." Arik's expression darkens, more scowl than concern. "Stop them before they touch her, or stop them in a way you won't get yourself killed. There's a difference, boy. One leads to victory, the other to corpses." I take a breath, shaking my head. He can't see her like I do. No one can. Not the council, not my parents, not Arik, and certainly not the rest of the coven who treat me like a boy still trying to prove he can swing a sword. The truth is, I am not swinging for glory. I am swinging for Ivali, for her life, for her freedom. The bond that slams into me like fire every time I see her eyes, smell her scent, feel her heartbeat near mine. It makes me reckless. It makes me alive in a way I can't let go of. Arizel appears at the doorway, leaning casually against the stone frame, one hand on her hip. Her brown eyes sparkle with mischief, and the scar at the corner of her mouth pulls into a teasing grin. "Still angry, Fireborn?" she calls. "You look like someone stuck a chain around your ankle." I don't bother answering. My muscles are still buzzing with the tension from Arik's critique, but I feel the flicker of irritation that Arizel's words always spark. "You think this is a joke?" I snap, spinning to face her with a frown. I don't need to be teased right now. "Oh, I know you don't," she says lightly, tilting her head. "But don't forget, I've been where you are. Chains, collars, being told you're powerless, maybe even thinking someone might save you, if they feel like it." Her grin softens just a fraction. "I once stood where Ivali is now." Her words catch me. My blood surges, not with guilt exactly, but with a hot, sharp mix of awe and fury. Ivali. Every move I make, every reckless strike I throw is for her. And Arizel has been in her place. She was bound and terrified, just as Ivali was, and she survived. She fought, she lived, and she is standing here now, unbroken, teasing me of all people. I spin my sword in a practiced arc, letting it clatter to the mat, my hands gripping it too tightly. "Do you think I don't know what I'm doing?" I hiss. "Do you think I don't see what's at stake? You've all got these calm faces like I'm still some boy trying to impress his father. Well, I'm not a boy anymore." Arik's scowl deepens, his voice low and steady. "You're reckless, Arvin. Reckless with purpose is still recklessness. The coven sees you as a boy who needs guidance because you act without forethought. That's the truth. Even your parents, your mother, your father, they'd say the same if they were here." I slam my fist against the mat, snapping my sword upward with a ferocity meant to shock, meant to remind Arik, and everyone, what I can do. "I don't care what anyone thinks. Ivali, she's not some possession to be rescued politely. She's alive and she's mine. By bond. Not chains. Not politics. Mine by choice." The word leaves my lips, and the silence that follows is heavier than any blade I've ever swung. Even Arik pauses, his eyes narrowing like he is measuring me against some impossible standard. The bond with her, it makes me dangerous. Not because I seek to hurt others, but because I cannot let anything or anyone claim her or threaten her, and that apparently terrifies everyone else. Arisel laughs, low and sharp, shaking her head. That's what I love about you, Fireborn, she says. All fire, no patience. You'll burn a room down to save someone you care about. And yet, sometimes that's the only way people notice who you are. I clench my jaw, anger bubbling into frustration. Notice who I am? I say through gritted teeth. Do you know what it's like to be constantly measured against legends? To have every mistake weighed against your parents' names? Mira, Soren, they are fire and shadow, and I'm just me. And no one cares about me. Not really. Arisel steps closer, mock serious now. You're mewling, Fireborn. That's all it sounds like. And Avali, she sees you all right. She's sharp enough to know when someone fights for her, not against her. That's more than most can give. More than your parents will ever understand, in fact. I turn away from her, the tension in my muscles coiling tighter, ready to spring. Auric's voice follows me, calm and patient in contrast to Arisel's playful scolding. The bond with Avali is not a license, Arvin. It is a responsibility. Do you understand what that means? That the strength you wield is useless if it's not tempered with restraint? I grit my teeth. I know that. Every strike I throw today, every reckless lunge, I know the consequences could be death, hers or mine. But the bond demands action. It demands a fierceness I cannot deny. I know restraint, I say through the tightness in my throat. But restraint doesn't win her back from the chains she's been in. It doesn't erase what she's endured. And it doesn't stop anyone who would dare touch her while I can fight. Arisel snorts again, shaking her head. Oh, Fireborn, you're hopeless. But you're right about one thing. Strength without resolve is useless. Strength with fire, now that's dangerous. Just don't destroy yourself. Or her. In the process. I run a hand through my black hair, streaked faintly silver, letting the tension ebb just slightly. The hall is quiet again, the echoes of steel fading. My muscles ache from the training. My pride is bruised from scolding, and my mind is consumed with Avali. With her freedom, her defiance, her sharp green eyes that struck into me the moment I saw her in that market. Every ounce of me, every scar across my forearms, and every lesson drilled into me by Auric screams that I cannot fail her. Not her. Not now. Not ever. And if my recklessness makes me seem like a boy in the eyes of others, fine. I will prove myself anyway. Through fire, through blood, through every fight, every negotiation, every impossible choice. Because the bond doesn't just make me reckless. It makes me responsible in ways I have never been before. And it gives me clarity, too. Avali is not a possession. She is not a tool. She is a person, and I will fight for her, beside her, and with her, not because I demand it, but because she chooses it. And the fire inside me, inherited from Mira, tempered by Soren's shadowed legacy, demands that I rise to that responsibility. Arisel's grin fades into something softer, almost knowing. You'll get there, Fireborn. One way or another, you'll learn to balance the fire in your hands with the care in your heart. And Avali, she'll be the spark you've been waiting for. I exhale slowly, gripping my sword with renewed determination. I will, I say quietly. I have to, not for them. Not for anyone but her. And not as their son. As for myself, I will prove it. I'll be her shield, her voice, her choice. Auric's gaze softens fractionally, but the reprimand lingers in his eyes. He doesn't need to say it aloud. He has seen the bond ignite something in me that no amount of training could temper. And if Avali survives, and if I survive, and if we survive together, then perhaps one day the Coven will see me for what I truly am. Arvin, Fireborn. Not just the son of Mira and Soren, not just a boy reckless with blades. A leader, a protector, and a man bound by choice. And Avali will know I fight for her, not because it is required, but because I will not let anyone, ever again, claim her freedom or her life. I lift my blade once more, spinning it in a smooth, practiced motion, letting the weight of it remind me that skill without purpose is empty. My purpose is clear. Her. Always her.
Chapter 8. Avali. I step into the coven hall and freeze, not because it is beautiful, the polished stone and high-arched ceilings don't make me pause, but because it breathes. Warmth radiates from every corner, from the crackling fires in bronze braziers to the laughter bouncing between humans and Vraken alike. It is alive. Children run past me, weaving between tables and columns, their voices ringing like wind chimes in the open space. A boy with a mop of dark hair squeals as a girl tackles him into a pile of blankets, and no one shouts, no one scolds. They are free, sheer, unguarded freedom, and I feel it scrape against the back of my ribs. I have walked through markets with chains on my wrists, heard the sharp words of slavers, felt the snap of collars and the press of ownership. I learned to survive by being small, by being invisible, by measuring each movement, each glance. Here, everything is the opposite. I don't know where to place my eyes first. Should I look at the children, at the adults talking and laughing, or at the fires, glowing like embers of a life I have never known? I drift toward the kitchens, drawn by the smell of fresh bread and simmering stews. The work tables gleam under the torchlight, the knives and utensils laid neatly, organised by someone who cares more for care than control. A woman with pale skin and auburn hair braided over one shoulder smiles at me. "Avali," she says. Her voice is soft, steady, filled with a kind of calm I hadn't heard in years. "I'm Isolde, remember. You don't have to do anything you don't want, but if you'd like to help..." I blink. Help. The word feels foreign. I spent years performing labour under the threat of punishment, under the sharp eyes of overseers. Choice has always been a lie. Now I can choose whether to scrub pots or knead dough. I can choose anything. My chest tightens as I reach for a bowl, my hands trembling. I catch myself flinching as I fumble with the utensils, expecting a sharp rebuke, an angry snap, a slap on the back of my hand. But none comes. Only patience. Only a soft voice guiding me. "Try holding it like this," Isolde suggests, demonstrating with the bowl. "Here, see, gently, not as if it's going to break you, but as if you're allowed to shape it." Allowed. I hadn't realised how heavy that word was until I felt it hanging between us. Allowed to be human, allowed to err, allowed to exist without fear. The tears sting the corners of my eyes, but I blink them back. I am not ready to cry in front of anyone. Not yet. Arizel appears from the doorway, her eyes alight with mischief. "Ah, our newest kitchen apprentice," she teases, leaning against the frame. "Careful there, Avali. You'll make the bread rise too quickly with all that tension." I swallow and give her a tight-lipped smile. Humour. I learned long ago that it could be armour, or it could be a bridge. But here, I don't know which one it is. The hallways are alive with sound and warmth. Humans and Vraken move side by side, sharing tasks, joking, teaching, and learning from one another. I pass by a group of children sitting cross-legged while a Vraken woman braids their hair, humming a tune that feels both foreign and familiar. I stop and watch for a moment, marvelling at the sheer normality. How can such laughter, such ordinary joy exist in a world I have only known as chains and collars? And then, without warning, a memory rises, sharp as a blade. Solène. I never knew her personally, but the stories of her reforms preceded her like wind before a storm. She stood for humanity when humans had no voice, fought against chains and cruelty, and her courage reshaped this coven. The banners on the walls, the laughter, the warmth, they are hers in a way. Every free human child here, every Vraken willing to bend tradition, Every smile without fear of punishment. Solène made it possible. A shiver passes through me. Freedom is not an accident. It is crafted, wrought from sacrifice, blood, and relentless determination. And now I walk through it, breathing it in, yet feeling unworthy. I take a deep breath and whisper under my breath, as if saying it aloud will make it true. I don't know how to be free. The words taste strange, foreign on my tongue. Free, not bound, not feared, not measured, weighed, or owned. Free. And yet, here I am, free, and still stiff with mistrust, my muscles still coiled for punishment that will never come. Aricel notices the tension in me, her voice light but probing. "You're holding yourself like someone ready to snap in half," she says. "You've been trained to expect chains, Avali. But there aren't any here. You can let go." I shake my head, brushing at my sleeves as if wiping away a ghost. I don't know how." She chuckles softly, a low, warm sound. "No one taught me either. Took me years to understand that not every hand raised toward me wanted to hit me. Not every glance was judgmental. And mistakes, they weren't punishable. They were lessons. That's what this place is. Lessons, not cruelty." I nod slowly, my hands still hovering over the dough I have been kneading. The warmth of the kitchen, the soft smell of bread, the low murmur of conversation, it feels almost sacred. Almost too much for someone like me, who learned to survive by biting down on pain and pretending nothing mattered. I want to step back. I want to retreat to a corner where no one can see me, where I can pretend that freedom isn't a test I am bound to fail. But the pull of the hall, the presence of people who were once like me, stops me. They are patient. They are kind. And they are unyielding in showing me that I can exist without fear. A small boy runs past, his eyes wide, carrying a wooden spoon as if it were a sword. I feel a flicker of envy and wonder. That had been impossible for me. A life where play is not punished, where laughter doesn't invite cruelty, where curiosity isn't a liability. I bend down, letting my fingers brush over the spoon's edge, testing its weight. The child looks up at me, grinning. I manage a small smile, tentative, and he scampers off, unaware of the quiet reverence I feel. The warmth of the coven isn't just firelight or the smiles of others. It is in the very air, the freedom to breathe without calculation, to move without fear, to choose without consequence. I had forgotten what that felt like, forgotten that it existed. And yet, it is here, tangible, alive. I glance toward Arvin, who has been silent for some time, observing me with that steady gaze. His presence is grounding, not commanding. He does not reach for me, does not direct me, does not claim me. Yet the bond between us pulses quietly, tethering me in ways that are both comforting and terrifying. He freed me, yes, but he did it without taking my choice. And that, more than any sword or word, makes me trust him in a way I can barely name. I lean against the counter, letting the warmth of the kitchen seep into my shoulders. For the first time, I understand what it means to be human without chains. Not just alive, but truly, entirely, undeniably free. And yet, the whisper of doubt lingers. Could I belong here? Could I trust kindness? Could I allow myself to make mistakes without consequence? My hands tremble slightly as I knead the dough, not from fear of being hurt, but from fear of failing at freedom itself. I don't know how to be free. I whisper again, this time quieter, almost a prayer, almost an acknowledgement. Aricel glances at me, her eyes softening, and Isolde offers a small, encouraging nod. Marion approaches, placing a hand lightly on my shoulder, and her presence says more than words can. You are not alone here. You have survived the chains, you have survived yourself, and now you have a place where you can begin to learn to breathe again. I take a deep breath, letting the scent of bread, fire, and living warmth fill my lungs. Step by step I realize freedom is not a single act. It is a collection of moments like this. Touching a bowl, feeling warmth in laughter, tasting choice for the first time in years. And maybe, just maybe, I can learn it. For now, I walk these halls. I touch the fires and smell the kitchens and watch the children run. I let the kindness of those who were once like me guide me. And slowly, I begin to understand what it meant to be free. But the thought lingers, quiet and insistent. Freedom is terrifying, and it is beautiful, and it is mine to discover. I whisper it one last time to the shadows that stretch across the hall. I don't know how to be free, but for the first time in my life, I want to learn.
Chapter 9. Arvin. The mountain ledge offers the kind of solitude I crave. Sharp wind cutting through my restlessness, the coven's warm glow below reminding me what I fight for. I perch on the stone outcropping, letting the cold bite at my face while my mind churns over the day's tensions. My parents' fury. The looming war. Ivali's whispered doubts about freedom. Footsteps echo against stone, light and deliberate. I know that rhythm before I turn. The careful placement of feet that speaks of years learning to move without sound. Ivali. She emerges from the coven entrance, her silhouette sharp against the torchlight. Even from this distance, I can see the tension in her shoulders, the way she glances back before stepping into the night. She needs space. Air. The same thing I seek on these heights. I should call out to her, should offer company or protection. Instead, I watch her pick her way along the lower paths, respecting her need for solitude, even as every instinct screams to follow. The attack comes from the shadows like a blade through silk. 3 figures in dark cloaks materialize from behind the rocks, moving with the coordinated precision of zealots. Chains glint in their hands, not weapons but restraints. They mean to take her alive. "Freedom's heretic!" one hisses, voice carrying on the wind. "The prince's pet human!" Ivali spins, her green eyes flashing with recognition and fury. "Pet?" She laughs, sharp and cutting. "You clearly haven't been paying attention." But 3 against 1, with chains and the element of surprise, the odds tilt against her fast. I launch myself from the ledge, muscles coiling with inherited strength, but the distance stretches between us like a chasm. The first zealot lunges. Ivali twists away, but the second catches her arm, metal links snaking around her wrist. The sight of those chains, the click of metal against her skin, ignites something primal in my chest. The mate bond explodes into fury. My vision sharpens, colors bleeding to stark contrast. The pale light in my crimson eyes flares as Purna blood surges through my veins. I hit the ground running, covering the remaining distance in heartbeats that feel like hours. The zealot holding Ivali's chain turns just as my hands close around the links. "Let her go." The metal groans under my grip. Impossible. Chains forged by Vraken smiths, meant to hold creatures of supernatural strength. But rage and bond-fueled power make the impossible irrelevant. The chain snaps. Links scatter across stone like broken promises. The zealot stumbles backward, eyes wide with shock and terror. "Abomination," he breathes. "Accurate," I snarl, advancing on the second attacker. These aren't ordinary zealots. Their movements speak of training, their weapons of preparation. They have come specifically for her, knowing exactly who she is and what she means to me. The thought sends fresh fury coursing through my blood. The third zealot swings a weighted chain like a whip. I catch it mid-arc, links biting into my palm, and yank hard enough to send him sprawling. Blood runs between my fingers, but the pain feels distant, irrelevant. "You want chains?" I twist the metal until it warps beyond recognition. "Here's your chain." Ivali has freed herself from the broken restraints, kicking the first zealot hard enough to send him rolling down the mountainside. She moves with lethal grace, every motion speaking of survival instincts honed by years of captivity. "Behind you!" she calls. I spin as the second zealot produces a blade, silver-edged and meant for Vraken flesh. He thrusts forward with desperate precision. I catch his wrist, bones grinding under the pressure of my grip, until he drops the weapon with a cry. "Who sent you?" My voice carries the growl of something barely human. He spits blood, defiant even in defeat. "The old ways will return. Your heretic reforms will burn." Wrong answer. I release his wrist and drive my fist into his solar plexus. He crumples, gasping, and I leave him there to contemplate his choices. The third zealot has already fled, disappearing into the mountain's maze of paths and shadows. Smart. My hands still shake with residual fury, silver light fading slowly from my eyes. "Arvin!" Avali's voice cuts through the red haze. "You're bleeding." I look down at my palms, torn open where I'd gripped the chains. The wounds are deeper than I'd realized, crimson pooling in the lines of my hands. "It's nothing. Sit." Her tone brooks no argument. "Before you collapse from blood loss and make me carry you back." I settle onto a flat boulder, watching as she tears strips from the hem of her dress. Her hands are steady, gentle, completely at odds with the violence we'd just survived. "This is going to sting," she warns, pressing cloth to the worst of the cuts. "Worth it." I meet her eyes. "They brought chains, Avali. For you." Her jaw tightens, but her touch remains careful. "I noticed. Good thing you have a talent for breaking them. Good thing you have a talent for staying alive." She binds my hands with practiced efficiency, her fingers cool against my heated skin. "Where did you learn to do that? Snap Vraken-forged metal like kindling?" "I didn't know I could." The admission feels raw. "Seeing those chains on you, something just broke loose." Her green eyes search my face, looking for answers I didn't have. "The mate bond? Maybe. Or maybe I'm more my parents' son than I thought." The bandage tightens around my palm, her fingers deft and sure. Avali's eyes stay locked on her work, avoiding mine. The silence stretches, thick with the scent of blood, mountain air, and something hotter. Something primal the fight woke between us. Her knuckles brush my wrist, and it's like sparks on dry tinder. "You didn't have to break chains tonight." Her voice is low, edged, "or bleed for me." "I did." The words scrape raw from my throat. "Seeing them touch you." Her head snaps up, green eyes blazing. "I'm not yours to defend like property, Arvin. Not yours to own." The challenge hangs between us, sharp as the zealot's blade. I step into her space, crowding her back against the cold stone wall. My bleeding hand cups her jaw, thumb tracing the curve of her lip. She doesn't flinch, doesn't yield. "No." My breath ghosts over her mouth. "But I want you. Only you." Her defiance cracks. A shudder runs through her, and then she's surging against me, fingers tangling in my hair, dragging me down. Our mouths collide. Not a kiss, but a claiming. Teeth and tongue and desperate heat. I pin her wrists above her head, my other hand circling her throat. Not to hurt. To hold. To feel her pulse hammer against my palm. "Sorry for the interruption. I know you were gearing up for a steamy scene, but it's way too hot for this platform."
If we want to keep sharing our stories for free, we have to abide by this platform's guidelines.
To get the full unabridged audiobook, go to worldsofprotheka.com.
Browse through unabridged audiobooks, countless ebooks and bundles offered at a discount.
If the thought of me whispering all the dirty details into your ear isn't enticing enough, use discount code YouTube30 to get 30% off of all digital products.
Story after story, audiobook after audiobook, the worlds of Protheka are waiting for you.
Protheka's magic is eternal.
But unabridged, it's unforgettable. Chapter 10. Avali. The night falls silent once the last torch flickers low, leaving shadows to stretch across the coven hall. The air still carries the warmth of Arvin's presence, of skin and whispered words, of something fragile and electric that we shared. And yet, I can't move past the knot in my chest. Have I chosen him? Or has fate, mate bond, instinct, destiny dragged me along, leaving me breathless and disoriented in its wake? The question twists inside me like a blade. I survived chains, collars, markets of cruelty, and yet this, the choice, the giving, the letting someone see me in that way, feels heavier than any iron cuff. I sit on the edge of the bed in my room, knees drawn up, hands clutching the quilt as though it could anchor me to something real. The scent of Arvin lingers in the linens, a dangerous mix of warmth, sweat, and something entirely his own. My pulse hammers in my ears. My thoughts are chaotic, a whirlwind of desire, doubt, and the sharp sting of vulnerability. Ivali? A soft voice breaks the silence. I flinch, but relief and familiarity wash over me when I recognise the intruder. Aricel leans in the doorway, arms crossed loosely, an amused smirk playing across her scarred lips. You're alive, that's a start. I swallow, attempting a smile that feels brittle. I am. I think. She moves inside, letting the door click shut behind her, and perches casually on the edge of the desk, her gaze unwavering. That's a lot of thinking for one night. She tilts her head. You're thinking about him, aren't you? I look away, brushing at the damp strands of hair clinging to my forehead. I shouldn't be. I don't know if it was me or if it was just... Words fail me. The mate bond throbs beneath my ribs, pulsing insistently, reminding me that some part of me responded before reason could intervene. Aricel's voice softens, surprisingly gentle. Choice comes after survival, Ivali. You fought to be alive. You fought to be free. And yes, you fought him too, in your own way, even when you let him touch you. That's choosing. Angry, defiant, protective. You chose him. You always had a hand in it, whether your mind lets you admit it yet or not. Her words sink into me like sunlight through fog. I have never been allowed a choice before. The very idea of it is foreign. And yet, that moment with Arvin, my body answered before my mind could protest, before the fear had time to weigh in. Somehow, even in my fury and uncertainty, there was intention. There was will. There was a tiny, fragile spark of me. I close my eyes, letting her words settle, and for the first time since he pulled me close, I allow a small shiver of acceptance. Maybe choice isn't always immediate. Maybe it is a process, layered and slow. And maybe it can coexist with the vulnerability, the fear, and the heartbreak of trust. Aricel leans back, one leg swinging lazily. You'll hate me for saying this, but I've seen this story 1,000 times. The first night is chaos. The first choice after that is harder. You're alive, Ivali. And he didn't take that from you. That's something, isn't it? I nod faintly, the corners of my mouth twitching into a reluctant smile. Something. Her smirk broadens. Exactly. Something worth leaning into. Don't let your ghost past scare you out of the living now. You've earned it. And him? He's earned a lot too. He didn't force you. That's respect. That's rare. I let out a shaky breath. I don't know if I can trust it, or him, or myself. Aricel shrugs. None of us are perfect at it. Start small. Start where you can. She pauses, looking at me keenly. You have to stop thinking of choice as one event. It's a lifetime of decisions, Ivali. Every breath, every step, every time you fight or speak or touch someone, it counts. You didn't break. You chose. That's enough for now. I sink back against the bed, letting the quilt pool around me. Her words are comforting, yet they leave the ache behind my ribs still intact. Enough for now. Can I carry that? Can I allow myself to feel connected without being swallowed by it? A soft noise from the training yard reaches the window, pulling my attention. I climb to my feet and walk to the open frame, the night air brushing my skin and cooling the heat from earlier. Torches glimmer across the courtyard, and there he is, Arvin. He is in the yard with children, guiding them through sparring techniques. His movements are sharp, precise, and yet playful. Despite the long scar crossing his forearm, the small nick along his jaw, the weight of his family legacy pressing down, he laughs. He corrects their stances gently, adjusts their grips, and lets them push back against him, just enough to taste challenge and victory. My heart constricts, cracks, and blooms all at once. I can feel it in my chest, the pull of the mate bond, the quiet awe at seeing him in his element, and the ache of knowing that he shared himself with me willingly, not as possession, not as a command, but as a choice. I whisper into the night, barely audible even to myself. How is it that you're all of this, and mine, and still not mine? The wind teases my hair, and I realise I am not just looking at him. I am seeing what he has built, what he has fought for. Children laughing, humans learning, Vraken bending tradition. He is more than the son of Mira and Sorin, more than a prince, more than the reckless, impulsive man I first met in chains. He is someone who earns loyalty with courage and care, and I have been part of it. The thought both thrills and terrifies me. Freedom has always been about distance, about keeping my body and soul untouchable, unclaimed. But now, the bond with Arvin shows me that freedom doesn't have to be lonely. That protection doesn't have to be control. That choice doesn't have to be a chain. I take a step closer to the yard, watching him laugh as a small boy manages to knock his training sword aside, grinning triumphantly. Arvin's crimson eyes, always sharp, always alert, sparkle faintly in the torchlight. His lips quirk with amusement as he claps the boy on the shoulder, guiding him to a stance again. My chest aches. I want to run into the courtyard and throw myself into his arms, to feel the solidity of him against the lingering doubts in my own mind. And yet I hold back, remembering Arisel's words about choice and survival. My desire doesn't need to overwhelm me. My fear doesn't need to cripple me. I can exist in both and still choose. I whisper again, this time to the night itself. I don't know how to do this. How to choose him without losing myself. A breeze carries the scent of iron, sweat and leather, the scent of Arvin's world, of battle and care intertwined. And somehow, that makes the choice seem possible. Somehow, the sight of him training children, scars and all, reminds me that strength can be tender, that connection can be patient, that love can exist without chains. I let the quilt slip from my shoulders and step out into the courtyard, careful to keep my movements light, deliberate. I don't rush to him. I don't demand anything from myself or from him. I simply stand on the edge, watching, breathing, and letting the night stretch around me like an invitation. Arisel's words echo again in my mind. You chose him. You survived. You can choose again, tomorrow, and the day after that. For the first time since I was freed from the market chains, I feel something like hope bloom in my chest. Fragile, yes. Uncertain, yes. But real. And perhaps, someday, that hope can grow into something I can trust, something I can call my own. I don't speak to Arvin, not yet. I don't have to. He is there, present, whole, waiting, I know, just as patient as the coven itself. And in that quiet, I realise I can do this. I can choose him, even afraid. I can choose trust, even with my scars. I can choose freedom, even with all the chains in my past. And I will. Slowly, deliberately, fiercely. because for the first time I understand that freedom and love can coexist. That survival isn't the end. That choice, even imperfect, is power. I linger on the edge of the courtyard, watching him teach, laughing with the children, my pulse steadying as the ache softens into something tender. And I whisper to the night, to the firelight, to the man I have chosen and will choose again. I don't know how to do this, but I will learn. I will.
Chapter 11. Arvin. The council chamber is cold, stone and shadow pressed against every surface, but it cannot contain the heat in my chest. I stand at the head of the long table, my dark armor catching faint light from torches set in wrought iron sconces. The air smells faintly of wax and dust, and the murmurs of the assembled leaders thrum like distant war drums. I can feel a volley beside me, not touching, not leaning, just present, and it is enough to steady my spine and sharpen my senses. The bond between us hums faintly, a constant reminder that I claimed her by choice, by declaration, by blood and vow. And I will not relinquish her, not to anyone. Mira's voice breaks through the low murmur, smooth and commanding, carrying authority tempered by wisdom. The reformers are united in their intent, she says, glancing around the chamber. Her pale eyes, faintly glowing when her Purna blood stirs, sweep over every noble present. We will not return the human known as a volley to the rival coven. Her safety is non-negotiable. I nod, barely able to hear her. My attention is already fixed on the emissary from Lord Vaylor, a tall man with hair streaked silver and eyes that speak of decades in courts and bloodshed. He steps forward, arrogance radiating from his posture, and lays out the threat bluntly. "Return her," he says, voice cold as iron, "or we will declare war. Your coven will burn before the sun rises again. Consider this your final warning." The chamber erupts. Whispers turn to shouts. My parents, Mira and Soren, stand at the center of the storm, their expressions unreadable until Soren's jaw tightens, crimson eyes flaring. My father's presence alone could silence a room, but now his control wavers. I inhale deeply, letting the familiar burn of Pernavrakan's strength flood my limbs. Every instinct in my body screams to step forward, to brandish a weapon and end the threat before it fully forms. But I do not. Not yet. "You speak as if she is an object to be returned," I say, voice low, steady, carrying across the room. "Ivali is my mate. Not yours to command, not yours to seize." A ripple of disbelief runs through the council. I can see the flicker of calculation in Dorian's eyes, the lean diplomat who learned the subtleties of negotiation, but still watches me with an almost amused detachment. Even without Drazian, whose absence leaves the room unbalanced, I feel the weight of history pressing down. Feared and respected leaders, rivals whose word could start a war, waiting for me to falter. Soren's fist slams against the table, making the wood groan under the impact. His face is a storm, and I recognize that fury from my own reflection in the mirror long ago. "Arvin," he growls, "you are reckless. Do you understand the consequences of declaring a human yours in front of their enemies? Do you understand what this will cost us?" I meet his gaze, unflinching. "I understand exactly what it costs," I say. "It costs nothing less than her life to ignore the bond between us. I will not betray that." Mira steps forward, placing a calming hand on Soren's arm, restraining him from striking. Her eyes meet mine, searching, concerned but unwavering in their belief. "He speaks truth," she says quietly, but with authority that echoes across the chamber. "The bond is not a formality. It is sacred, and it is mutual. Ivali chose him, just as he chose her." The room is tense beyond comprehension. The emissaries from rival covens lean forward, fingers drumming against polished wood, eyes narrowing, measuring. They expected me to falter. They expected my youth and my mother's pacifist reasoning to bend me. They expected hesitation. They have misjudged. "I do not negotiate over her life," I say, stepping closer to the table, letting my height and posture carry the weight of my conviction. I do not bargain with the safety of my mate. You will have no claim over her. None. And if you attempt otherwise... My voice trails, but my intent does not. Every muscle in my body bristles, every instinct poised for confrontation. You will face my wrath. Soren's hands flex at his sides, crimson eyes narrowing. I can see the storm behind them, the same storm that ruled him through centuries of exile, the same storm that carved my childhood into lessons of fear and respect. He wants to strike, to punish my audacity, to make me understand the danger of acting outside protocol. Mira's hand stays firm, a barrier of reason and love. Enough, she says, her voice ringing with a sharpness that silences the murmurs. Arvin has chosen his path, and I will not allow my own pride to blind me to the righteousness of it. You cannot return her. You will not. I swallow, letting their words sink into me, grounding my resolve. I do not need their permission to protect Avali. I do not need their praise. I only need the knowledge that I will stand for her, that no threat, no war, no rival coven can bend me to abandon her. Then we are at an impasse, Lord Vaylor's emissary says finally, voice cutting the silence like a blade. You choose war. I do not flinch. I do not hesitate. My hand brushes the broken chain link at my belt, engraved with Avali's name, a constant reminder that I claimed her not by chains, but by choice. If it is war you name it, I say, voice steady and clear, then so be it. I will protect my mate at any cost. And know this, I do not fight for politics. I fight for her, and no blade, no army, no coven shall sway that. Avali's presence beside me is subtle, but the bond thrums stronger. I can feel her tension, her fear, her uncertainty, but also her trust. Even when she does not speak, she gives me permission to act, to stand, to fight, to lead. And that trust, precious and fragile, is worth more than any alliance, more than any title, more than my father's approval. Soren's face darkens, but Mira's hand remains on his arm. I know the anger is not just at the politics of the situation. It is at me, at my recklessness, at the defiance they nurtured in me, hoping to temper it with diplomacy and strategy. But I cannot temper it now. There is no compromise, not with her. I lift my chin higher, letting the fire of my Pernavrakan heritage flare faintly in my eyes, casting pale flecks of light across the chamber. I do not ask for your approval, I say, voice ringing. I do not seek your understanding. Avali is mine, not by chains, not by law, but by bond. I will defend her, always, and if any of you attempt to take her from me, you will find that the Fireborn does not yield. Mira's eyes glimmer faintly, a mixture of pride and fear, while Soren's jaw remains tight, the tension in his body screaming that he wants to test me physically for my defiance. But the rest of the council remains silent. The room holds its breath. They can see the resolve in me, the same resolve that carried me through markets, through chaos, through the fight to free her. And I will not falter. Avali's gaze finds mine, green eyes sharp but soft, fearful but trusting. The connection is undeniable, thrumming between us, a tether stronger than any iron or decree. She is here. She is mine. And I will keep her safe, come blood, fire, or war. When the council finally falls silent, the emissary from Vaylor turns sharply and leaves, the threat unspoken but hanging in the air like a drawn blade. I do not move to pursue him. I do not need to. I have made my choice, and I have made it clear. Soren finally releases a sharp exhale, Mira's hand still lightly pressing against his arm. He does not approve, but there is acknowledgement there, a grudging recognition of my resolve, of the path I have chosen, of the bond I have sworn. I exhale slowly, letting my shoulders drop some of the tension I hadn't realized I was holding. Ivali remains by my side, silent, but the warmth of her presence steadies me in ways no training, no heritage, no parent could. The world outside is uncertain. War might come, politics might twist against us, rivals might strike, but inside the bond, inside the vow, I have certainty. Ivali's life, her choice, and her freedom are mine to defend. And I will not fail. Not now. Not ever. I glance at her again, letting my gaze linger just long enough to convey what words could not. I do not need to claim her again. She already knows. The bond hums, steady and alive. And I will honor it, every moment, every day, for as long as it takes. Because she is my mate, my choice, my responsibility. And I will protect her, even if it means standing against every coven, every council, every legend my parents have built. And I will win.
This huge orc brings out the animal in me.
In a world where humans have been driven underground, living like rats is the only way to stay safe from the marauding orcs.
All my life, my only job has been to make sure I have enough to eat.
These orcs of the Burning Sun clan will vow to keep their human mates safe.
There is a nobleness to these giant savages, alpha male warriors who will protect their women at all costs.
Get this complete series of books following the Burning Sun clan for 70% off. Each book is a full-length monster romance that features a giant orc with eyes for his beloved, curvy human. Happily ever after guaranteed.
Protheka's magic is eternal.
This bundle will show you that size really does matter.
Chapter 12. Ivali. I shouldn't be close enough to hear them. The council chamber doors are thick, carved from blackwood, and reinforced with iron bands that look like they could stop a battering ram. But they don't stop voices. Not when people shout, and everyone inside the hall is shouting. My fingertips rest against the cold stone wall as the voices rise and collide, sharp enough to scrape against bone. She cannot remain here. Her presence endangers us all. You speak as if she is a weapon left to explode on our table. She is the spark. War is coming because of that girl. That girl. My stomach tightens. I should walk away. I should close my ears. I should have learned by now that listening only hurts. But I stay. Because they are arguing about me. Because of me, armies are being raised. Because of me, blood will spill. Because Arvin reached out, held my gaze and refused to look away. Because he fought for me. I have become the reason a coven calls for war. I press a hand to my chest to quiet the shaking there. It doesn't help. Mira's voice cuts through the others, sharp, elegant, authoritative in that way only she can manage. We do not return her. We do not bargain with lives. Your compassion blinds you, a man spits back. I don't recognize his voice. The rival coven will not negotiate. They want her back, and they want him punished. Arvin. The bond pulses at the sound of his name. Not a command, not a pull, just a presence, warm, steady, terrifying. I step back, breath shallow. The thought I have been trying to outrun crashes into me again. If I leave, the war might not happen. No coven would chase one escaped human across the wilds. I could slip away, travel at night, hide by day. I know the routes, the unguarded passes, the markets where no one cares who you are, as long as you don't make waves. I've survived before. I can survive again, and Arvin would be safe. The burn in my chest twists into something sharp, something like grief. Because I don't want to leave. The hall feels like possibility, like air that doesn't choke me, like a place where laughter isn't a mockery, but wanting something doesn't make it yours. I turn to go, only to freeze when I see Isolde standing in the corridor, hands folded in front of her, expression gentle in that way that makes me feel seen, not observed. Her pale, grey-green eyes study me, calm and patient, the eyes of someone who knows how to recognise a person on the edge of running. "How much did you hear?" she asks softly. I swallow. "Enough." She nods as though she expected that. "And what do you think you should do?" I don't want to say it. Speaking will make it real. But her eyes don't let me turn away. I think I should leave. There. The words sit heavy on my tongue, cold and final. Isolde doesn't flinch, doesn't gasp, doesn't lecture. She waits. "I can't be the reason a war starts," I whisper. "Not again." Her brows lift just slightly. "Again?" My throat closes. I didn't mean to say that. I look away, staring at the stone floor. "When I was taken," I say, voice thin, "others died. People I knew, people I loved, and I couldn't do anything. If I stay here, more will die. Arvin will fight for me. They all will, and I—" My voice cracks. "I don't deserve that." Silence stretches for a long, aching moment. Then Isolde steps forward, not touching me, just close enough that I can feel her presence the way one feels warmth from a nearby fire. "Evali," she says, voice steady. I once believed the same. I lift my head. She gestures for me to walk with her. I follow because I don't know how to do anything else. We move through the quiet outer corridor. Tapestries line the walls, battles, councils, a woman with raven hair and storm-grey eyes holding out her hands, chains broken at her feet. Solène. I have heard her name spoken in reverence, whispered like a prayer, the human queen who turned captivity into revolution. The dawn after the longest night. Isolde stops in front of the tapestry. "Solène thought she was not worth saving either," she says. "She thought she was just one life among many, too small to matter. But she mattered, not because the bond made her important, not because she inspired devotion, but because she chose to believe she was worth protecting." I stare up at the woven face, so fierce, so human. "She died," I whisper. "Yes," Isolde says. "But not because she was claimed, because she chose. That is the difference." I feel that word like a blow. Choose. No one has ever let me choose anything. Not when I was taken. Not when I was sold. Not when I learned to survive by becoming small and quiet and invisible. And now, Arvin doesn't ask for my silence, or obedience, or submission. He asks for my presence. For me. Isolde's voice softens. "If you leave to protect him, you will teach yourself that you were never worth guarding, and you will teach him that his loyalty, and yours, were mistakes." My breath trembles. Her gaze doesn't waver. "You are not a burden, Evali. You are a life. Your life. And lives are worth fighting for." Tears sting my eyes, hot, unbidden, humiliating. I turn away, but Isolde simply waits, patient as tide and moon. The council voices rise again behind the doors. Frustration, fury, argument. But I am no longer listening for their judgment. I am listening for the silence underneath. The silence is asking me to decide who I will become. Arvin has chosen me. I haven't chosen myself yet. But maybe I can learn. Slowly, carefully, terrifyingly. I wipe my eyes with the back of my wrist and let myself breathe. "I don't know how to be worth fighting for," I say. Isolde's smile is soft and terribly kind. "Then let us teach you."
Chapter 13. Arvin. The smell hits first. Smoke, iron, and wet earth. Burned timber and blood. The wind carries it down from the northern ridge, curling through the pines and frost-slick grass, winding its way into my lungs like a memory I've never had, but recognize in my bones anyway. Border villages. They came for our edges first, testing, probing, measuring how quickly we bleed. I tighten my grip around the twin scythes strapped to my back. The metal is cool against my palms, familiar. My mother's forging, my father's balance. I hear Mira's voice in the back of my mind. Steel is loyal only to will. Yours must be steady. Steady. Right. The world feels anything but steady. The torch line snakes across the trees ahead. Torches from our side. Our warriors waiting in formations, silent as carved obsidian. I step to the front, and their attention draws in, sharp as an inhaled breath. They are waiting for me. Not my mother, not my father. Me. That should feel like honor, but instead it sits like a stone in my chest. I shouldn't be leading this. Not yet. Not when I am still learning how to breathe alongside the weight of expectation, tradition, history that does not belong to me, but clings all the same. But Avali is back at the hall, and the rival coven is willing to tear the world open to reclaim her. That means the first blow, this blow, must be mine. Arik stands at my right, expression carved from steel. He has seen war since before I was born, and yet he stands behind me, supporting, watching, judging. You don't have to do this alone, he murmurs. I don't look at him. I am not alone. He huffs something like a laugh. You think that because you have a bond now? Or because you believe your cause is righteous? I don't answer. The truth is simpler and more dangerous. I am not alone because something inside me has awakened. Something that feels older than my heartbeat. Something I cannot name. Only follow. A horn sounds from the ridge above, the rival coven's signal. 4 blasts, a hunting pattern. They are pushing down toward the village ruins, hoping to draw us into pursuit. They think we'll chase. They think I'll be reckless. They think I'm my father's son. Good. I lift my hand, 2 fingers raised. Our scouts melt into shadow and vanish. Then I move, not charging forward, circling. A predator, not prey. Arik catches it immediately. His eyes widen just a fraction. You're going to cut them off? Yes. In the open field? Yes. His jaw works. That's suicidal? I finish. Only if they see us first. He watches me for one agonizing heartbeat. Then he nods, and we run. The pines whip past in a blur, claws of branches raking at armor and skin. Cold air burns my lungs, but the world sharpens, not to pain, but purpose. Every footfall is known. Every shift of muscle is precise. I don't think about training. I don't think about anything at all. I move. When we break into the open, the sky is bruised purple, dawn held back by smoke. The rival coven forces are spread, torches flickering along the old stone road. Too relaxed, too confident. Good. I drop low and signal the flanking split. Our warriors fall away into the grass, silent shadows in moon-washed dark. I keep going, straight toward the center. Shouts rise when they see me, too late. Steel sings. The first one comes at me with a long-handled glaive, but I slide under the arc of the swing, twist, and drive my scythe into the gap beneath his ribs. One fluid, brutal motion. He hits the ground without a sound. Another rushes from the left. I pivot, using his momentum to fold his body over my knee. Bone cracks. He drops. My other blade finds a throat. The world narrows to movement, momentum, flow. I barely register the individual strikes. Only position, angles, weight, how to break it. Someone screams behind me. Someone cheers. I don't know which is ours. I'm not thinking, but I am aware of where my allies stand, of where the enemy breaks, of where the next opening is before it even forms. It is instinct, but not a Vrakan instinct, something older. My blades dance, arcs of silver, each strike purposeful, efficient, final. When the enemy tries to regroup and close ranks, I shift angles, slipping through formation like water carving stone, breaking them from within. A roar rises, angry, unsettled, terrified. Not from the enemy, from our side, because they are watching me, and they do not recognize what they're seeing. A soldier stumbles backward, eyes wide, not with pain, but realization. He fights. He doesn't finish the sentence. Auric does. Quiet, stunned, certain. He fights like both, he says. Like Perna and Vraken. I feel the words as though they're spoken inside my skull. Perna, my mother's people. Human-born. Fluid, adaptive, strategic. Vraken, my father's people. Bone and fury, born to conquer the dark. Two worlds not meant to coexist. Two bloodlines that should have clashed and torn each other apart in me. And yet, they move together. Not warring. Aligning. I slam my scythe into the ground and sweep a soldier off his feet. Another lunges. I catch his wrist, twist, and he drops his blade. A sharp kick to the ribs sends him sprawling. Auric watches, eyes narrowed. Not in fear, in understanding. But the battlefield gives no time to question. The enemy breaks. What remains flees. The last torch lines disappear into the trees. We stand among the fallen, breathing, listening, waiting for the next wave. Snow begins to fall, soft flakes drifting down through smoke and blood. My breath fogs in the cold air, and only then do I feel the tremor in my hands. Not weakness, not exhaustion. Something else. Something waking. Auric approaches me slowly, as one would approach something sacred or dangerous. He studies my face, my stance, my shaking hands. This is not just skill, he says quietly. This is power. I meet his gaze. I know. His jaw tightens. Then you also know the others will fear it. I look back toward the hall, toward home, toward Avali. Let them fear. Let them question. Let them try to stop me. I raise my blade steady now. I don't care, I say. I will protect her, no matter what I become. Auric exhales slowly, something like pride, something like dread. Then war has already begun, he murmurs. The snow keeps falling, and I do not look away.
Chapter 14. Ivali. The blood does not frighten me. It should. Once it did. Once the sight of torn skin, the metallic tang of iron on the air, the ragged gasps of those clinging to life would have sent my stomach twisting into knots. But I've seen worse. I've been worse. Still, when I kneel beside the wounded Vraken soldier, his breathing shallow, his leg torn open from hip to knee, I hesitate. Not because of the injury, but because I am still not certain which version of myself I am allowed to be here. A servant, a survivor, a mate, a free woman. My hands hover over him, my fingers tremble, not with fear, but with choice. Solen's healers move around me with calm efficiency. Older women and men, some Vraken, some human, all bearing the same steady, practiced quiet of those who have seen too many endings and refuse to let another take root. They work with poultices of crushed ash root, salves of honey and powdered blue leaf, strips of linen boiled clean. Their murmured instructions are not orders, they are invitations. Hold pressure here. Keep him awake. You're doing fine. No one has ever told me I was doing fine. I press the folded cloth against the wound, slow, gentle, careful. The soldier hisses but doesn't pull away. His eyes find mine. Dark, fevered, searching. You're Arvin's mate. The words should feel heavy, binding, dangerous. They don't. Yes, I say simply. The acknowledgement settles inside me like a stone finding its place in water, sinking, but not drowning me. His breathing steadies. I help another, then another, moving between cots, buckets of water, jars of herbs, soft-spoken requests. The healers teach me without impatience. I learn without fear. The hall-turned infirmary smells of smoke, pine resin, and warm broth simmering in huge clay pots along the wall. The wounded are fed before they sleep, even if they can only swallow broth. In the place I came from, such resources would have been withheld, rewarded, punished. Here, suffering is not something to be earned. The thought makes my chest ache. I'm rinsing blood from a linen cloth when small hands attach to my waist. Auntie Avali. I nearly drop the cloth. 2 children, no older than 5 winters, cling to my legs like I have been theirs forever. Their faces are smudged with soot, their clothes patched and worn, eyes bright. Auntie, I repeat, stunned. One nods vigorously. Because you're pack now. Pack. Family. The word slices me open, soft and brutal. My voice cracks. I don't know if... The smaller of the 2 children presses her forehead to my hip, sighing like a cat settling into sunlight. As if I am safe. As if I have ever been safe for anyone. I freeze. My hands do not know where to go. One of Selene's healers smiles faintly at me from across the room. Not mocking, not pitying, just patient. Children see truth before adults do, she says. I swallow. Slowly, painfully slowly, I lower a hand and rest it on the small girl's head. Her hair is soft and thin, wispy as corn silk. She beams. Something tight in my chest loosens. Just enough to breathe. Later, when most of the wounded have settled into healing sleep, I step outside for air. The sky is overcast, clouds low and heavy like they are waiting to break. The wind carries pine and distant snowmelt. Marion stands at the railing overlooking the courtyard below. Her arms are crossed, her posture regal even in simple robes, her braid tight enough to mean business. Always composed, always watching. She does not turn when I approach. You did well today. I nearly laugh. I only held cloth and fetched water. Her gaze slides to me then, sharp, but not cold. Once that was all I did too. I should have known that. Arizel had told me. So had Isolde. But hearing it from Marion, poised, articulate, terrifyingly capable Marion, breaks something open. You belonged somewhere before this, I say. You had a family. She lifts one shoulder. Not one worth keeping. The wind tugs at her braid. She lets it. Belonging does not mean origin, she continues. It means choice. I look down at my hands, still stained faintly pink, no matter how much I scrubbed. I don't know how to choose. I've only ever survived. Marion's expression softens, truly softens. It is unsettling how much that affects me. Choice comes after survival, she says, never before. I think of the children calling me aunt, of the healers saying I did well, of sitting beside Arvin in the quiet aftermath of love, skin against skin, the silence not empty but full. I think of how terrifying it felt. I think of how much I wanted to stay. I still feel like I'm intruding, I admit. Like any moment I'll be told to leave, that I have taken something not mine to take. Marion turns to face me fully now. The courtyard wind sweeps her cloak around her legs, making her look like a queen carved from dusk. We all felt that, she says. The first day, the first month, the first year. But you belong now. Yes, she says. Not prideful, not defensive, certain. Because we claimed ourselves, not because we were claimed. I close my eyes. The truth of it sinks deep, warm, and painful. I don't know how to be free, I whisper. Marion steps closer, not touching, but near enough that I can feel her warmth. No one does at first, she murmurs. Freedom is not an instinct. It is a practice. You learn it the way you learn to walk, stumbling, falling, getting up again. My throat tightens. So then what do? I ask, voice barely audible. She smiles, a small smile, real. You keep waking up, you keep trying, and when freedom frightens you, which it will, you let us remind you that you are not alone. My eyes sting. I blink hard. I am not used to crying. It feels like something breaking, but maybe that is the point. She rests one hand briefly over her heart. Family is chosen, Ivali. And today, whether you realize it or not, you chose us too. The wind shifts, the clouds part just enough for a sliver of pale sunlight to break through, falling over the courtyard like a blessing or an omen. I exhale. Uneven, but steady. Maybe belonging is not something that happens all at once. Maybe it begins like this. One hand held for the wounded. One child's embrace. One conversation that doesn't end in fear. One moment of choosing to stay. I can learn this. I am learning already.
Chapter 15. Arvin. The scent of ash still clings to her skin when she turns on me, that wildfire temper sparking in green eyes. I'm not some fragile doll to stash away while you play hero. She's pacing the war room like a caged wolf, fingers twisting the hem of her tunic, the same one she wore binding soldiers' wounds yesterday. I lean against the map-strewn table, armor discarded, blood-stained linen shirt clinging to sweat-damp skin. Play hero? My laugh's a sharp blade between us. You stood in that infirmary stitching men back together while children called you family. Since when does that make you useless? Her hand slams down on a battle schematic, sending tokens scattering. Because this? She gestures at the marked territories, the carved obsidian pieces symbolizing our forces. This is your language, your legacy. What am I? A knife without a sheath? I'm across the room before she can blink, crowding her against the cold stone wall. Her breath hitches. Not fear. Never fear with her. Anticipation. My legacy? My thumb brushes the pulse rabbiting at her throat. You think I give a damn about borders tonight? They're singing your name in the halls, Ivali. The woman who held the bleeding while I swung the sword. She bares her teeth. I don't want their songs. Then take mine. Our mouths crash together. Wildfire meeting lightning. She bites my lower lip hard enough to draw blood, the coppery tang mixing with the honeyed curse she moans into my tongue. I grip her hips, hauling her onto the table. Parchment crunches beneath her as she arches, legs locking around my waist. As much as Samara and I want to finish what these two characters have started, it looks like this chapter is about to get too hot for this platform to handle.
Unfortunately, we have to pause here because their guidelines won't allow us to reveal the spiciest details.
I keep bringing you these free audiobooks. We have to follow their rules.
But don't worry. You can experience the full unabridged version over at worldsofprotheka.com, where the boundaries of passion and fantasy collide.
Use code YouTube30 for 30% off any of our unabridged audiobooks set in the rich and immersive worlds of Protheka.
Protheka's magic is eternal.
With these scenes, it will be unforgettable. Her voice, when it comes, is raw silk scraped thin. I don't know how to live free. The words land like a blow to the ribs. Not defiance, not anger. Just a stark, hollow truth laid bare in the quiet aftermath. I ease out of her gently, turning her in my arms before she can hide her face. Her skin is flushed, eyes wide and glassy, avoiding mine. She stares somewhere past my shoulder, at the scattered war plan symbolizing the chaos I ignited for her. Her fingers curl against my chest, not pushing away but seeking anchor. I cage her face between my hands, forcing her gaze to meet mine. Her green eyes are storm-wrecked, lost. The fierce survivor who mocked nobles and stitched warriors back together looks suddenly, terrifyingly young. The chain scars circling her wrists seem darker in this dim light. My thumb brushes the damp track of something. Sweat? Tears? Doesn't matter. Then live with me, I murmur, the words rough but deliberate, brushing her temple. Her breath hitches. And we'll learn together. I feel the tremor that runs through her. Not fear this time, but something deeper cracking open. Her hands fist tighter in my shirt, knuckles white. She doesn't speak, doesn't nod. Just presses her forehead hard against my collarbone, her whole body leaning into the promise like it's the only solid ground left. The war room feels vast and silent around us, holding its breath.
Chapter 16. Evali. The news travels through the hall like a cold wind. Prisoners taken, not just Vraken, humans. The moment the messenger says it, my blood freezes. I know the look in his eyes. I have seen it on too many faces. The shame of having been alive while others were dragged away. The breathless guilt that gnaws the bones. My hands tighten on the wooden railing of the upper balcony, knuckles going white. Arvin is already on his feet, jaw set, preparing to speak to the council. Maybe to argue, maybe to lead. I don't wait for him. My voice comes out before I plan the words. I'm going. The room stills. Every head turns toward me, faces I have come to know. Not all well, but enough to recognize the shape of concern when it curls around their features. Mira's brows tense. Sorin's hand flexes around the hilt of his sword. Even some of the younger Vraken blink like they'd misheard. I've barely found my place here. Barely learned to walk without waiting for a chain to pull me back. To step forward now. To say I am going to war. I can feel the judgment waiting. Or worse, pity. Then Arisel leans back in her chair and says, louder than necessary, well, about time. Isolde's soft voice follows, gentle but firm. Evali knows the paths slavers use. She survived them. A pulse of heat spreads through my chest, not pride, something older, sharper, recognition, but Mira frowns. We cannot risk. She is not being risked. Arisel cuts in. She is choosing. Her gaze flicks to me, and there is no softness in it, just challenge. I nod. Humans taken will expect no rescue. They will think the world has already decided they are expendable. My voice trembles, not with fear, but fury. I know that feeling. I will not leave them there. Sorin's jaw tightens. He looks at Arvin, not me. If she goes, you will compromise strategy. You will compromise yourself. Arvin does not look away from his father. Then I will make new strategy. A moment, sharp, cold, hanging by a thread. Mira closes her eyes, exhales, and gives the smallest nod. Permission. The hall breaks into motion, commands, gear, preparation. But I stand still for one more heartbeat, grounding myself against the old habit clawing at my ribs. Fear says run. Memory says kneel. But I am neither slave nor shadow now. I follow Arisel and Isolde to the armory. Arisel tosses me a leather chest guard, light enough not to restrict movement. Practical, worn at the edges from real use, not ceremony. You're good with small blades, she says. Keep two, one to throw, one to keep. I strap them on. My hands do not shake. Isolde adjusts the guard at my shoulder, fingers careful. If your mind tries to go back, breathe. Anchor yourself to now. I nod. Now. But inside, my thoughts are not calm. Slavers. Captives. Chains. The words themselves are knives, We move under nightfall. The rescue force is small, silent, precise. Arvin leads at the front, his silhouette dark against the moonlight, his hair tied back, his crimson eyes faint embers in the shadows. He doesn't speak, but I can feel something burning inside him. Arik walks beside him like a shadow of war. Aricel moves light-footed ahead of us all. Isolde walks near me, her presence steadying. The enemy camp is set in an old quarry, broken stone walls forming natural cages. I know the design. It is meant to keep escape impossible. The distant sound reaches me before I see anything. Chains rattling. My breath stutters. Not stopping, but catching, like a hand around my ribs. Isolde's hand brushes my shoulder, not restraining, reminding. Now. I nod once. Arvin signals. We move. The first guards never have time to shout. Arvin strikes fast and silent, blade glimmering silver in moonlight. Arik goes through the second line like a landslide, unstoppable, but controlled. Aricel is a flicker of shadow and glinting steel. Here gone, here again. Then I see them. 8 humans, 6 Vraken, chained to stone pillars, collars, arm shackles, the kind designed to break a mind long before a body. I do not think. I run. My knife is in my hand before I realise I've drawn it. One guard lunges toward me. I slide low, fast, old instincts kicking in. I wasn't a trained warrior. I am a survivor. When you grow up owning nothing, you learn to move like smoke, to strike like necessity. The blade finds his throat. He drops. I don't watch him fall. I reach the captives. One human woman flinches when I near her, hard, defensive, eyes dead with the kind of terror that once lived in mine. Don't, please, don't say you're rescue. They always say... I'm not saying anything, I say, forcing calm into my voice. I'm cutting the chains. Move when I tell you. Hope is a dangerous promise. I will not offer it. I act. The lock looks complicated, but chains are chains. Weak spots always exist. I find the hinge and drive the blade in, twisting hard. Metal snaps. The cuffs fall away. When the weight leaves her wrists, she lets out a sob so raw it shakes the air. Not gratitude, grief. I know that sound. I free another. And another. And another. Hands clutch at my sleeves, not pulling, trying to anchor themselves to something real. Follow the tree line when I say. I whisper. No running loud. Stay low. One Vraken warrior, injured, half-conscious, opens his eyes long enough to see my face. You're... Solenne's echo. The words hit like a blow. I do not have Solenne's grace, or her hope, or her legacy, but I have her truth. Chains break. Always. A roar splits the air, Arvin engaged in full combat. His strikes are sharp, controlled, terrifyingly efficient. His blade moves like instinct, like memory not his own. Arik's voice shouts over the clash of steel. He fights like both Perna and Vraken. I believe it, but I have my own battlefield. A guard lunges for the youngest captive, a boy no older than 13. I step between them, intercepting the blow, grabbing the guard's wrist and twisting until his joint snaps with a crack that echoes. My second blade buries in his chest. The boy stares at me like I am impossible. Maybe I am. Go, I say. Now. Aricel whistles, the signal. Time to move. We lead them through the trees, between stone, over routes I remember from my own escapes. Footsteps quiet. Breathing held. Freedom tastes like cold air in the lungs, like blood on the tongue, like the absence of shackles where your skin still remembers metal. When we are far enough that the quarry is only a memory behind us, I stop. I count heads. All here, all alive. My knees almost buckle with relief. Arvin reaches me a moment later, chest rising and falling sharply, sweat and dust streaking his face. His eyes, bright, burning, meet mine. He doesn't speak. He doesn't need to. He sees me. Not as someone he saved or protected, but as someone who stands beside him, an equal. Arisel claps my back hard enough to jolt me. "There she is," she says. "The spine of iron." Isolde smiles softly. Strength looks different than war. Today, you defined yours. I look back toward the path we've come from, and I understand finally. I do not just survive tonight. I choose to protect and fight, and I choose this life. Not because it was given, but because I reach out and take it.
Chapter 17. Arvin. I have seen Avali fight before, once in the market, when she spat defiance like a blade. Again, during our escape, she tore at fate with her bare hands. And later still, when she stood in council shadows, spine straight despite every whisper that said she did not belong. But I have never seen her like this. The raid has gone wrong from the first moment. Smoke chokes the forest clearing. Rival Vrakan archers have circled faster than expected. Screams in metal clash against the howling wind. Lucerys barks orders. Auric wades through fighters like the tide incarnate. And I am in the thick of it, blade hot in my grip, Perna blood burning beneath my skin. And Avali has vanished in the chaos. I think I have lost her. The fear is so sharp I nearly drop my sword. I feel the bond flare, wild and panicked, her emotions like a heartbeat pulsing against mine. Not fear of pain. No, fear for others. And then I see her. She stands among the humans the rival coven has taken. Children shaking, women bloodied, men beaten. The captors are distracted by our charge, scrambling to regain control. Avali does not hesitate. She grabs the nearest fallen guard's dagger, snaps its chain sheath across her knee, and slices through bindings with a precision born of survival. Her hair is wild, dirt streaking her cheek, but her hands are steady. She is speaking to them, low, firm, commanding without raising her voice. Look at me. You are not alone. You walk with me. Now, move. And they follow. They follow her. Not because she is Vrakan or Perna or noble, not because she holds power or strength or lineage, but because she understands them, because she has been where they stand, because she is hope made flesh. I feel something inside me go utterly still. Not awe, though yes, there is awe. It is recognition. Of the fire I fell into long before she ever touched me, of the spirit that survived where countless others fell, of the truth I refuse to name, even to myself. She is not something to protect. She is someone to stand beside. I cut through an incoming attacker, a clean upward slash. Blood sprays the dirt and I don't look back. All my focus is on her. Avali, stepping between a child and a Vrakan soldier, dagger flashing. She is small beside him, but she does not flinch. I move without thinking. Steel meets steel as I intercept the blow aimed for her ribs, sparks bursting between our blades. The rival warrior snarls at me. I bare my teeth back. He swings with brute force. I answer with precision, fluid, fast. My sword finds his heart. He drops. Avali didn't even look at the body. She just looks at me. And for the first time, not with anger or suspicion or fear, but with certainty. "You came," she says, breathless, as if it is a surprise. As if I ever wouldn't, I answer. Her jaw trembles just once, just enough to break me. But there is no time. Shouts rise behind us, the clearing thick with smoke and black flame. She turns back to the humans, voice steady again. "This way, keep low, stay with me." She leads them. I keep the path clear, blade carving the space around her as she guides them through the burning brush. I watch her, strong, swift, certain, leading them through the very thing that had once trapped her. I see her claim herself with every step. By the time we reach the tree line, the captives are running, Some sobbing, some silent, but all alive. Alive because of her. And when the last of them crosses the ridge, when the fires burn far enough behind us that the night feels real again, she sinks to the ground, hands braced on her knees. Not broken, just breathing, just present, just human. I kneel beside her. She doesn't flinch. Her hair sticks to her cheeks, dirt streaked across her arms, sweat gleaming at her temples. But she looks like the moon rising after a storm, worn, battered, luminous. You led them, I say. She doesn't look at me. She stares at her hands instead, the same hands that once scrubbed stone floors, carried burdens, and learned to survive by quietness. They needed a way out, she murmurs, and I knew what it was to wait for someone who never came. There it is, the truth that cleaves clean through my chest. She is not brave because she is fearless. She is brave because she remembers fear. I reach out slowly so she can pull away if she wishes. My fingers brush her cheek, calloused thumb tracing the line of soot across her skin. Her breath hitches, but she does not move away. The bond shimmers, not a chain, not a pull, not an order. Just warmth, threaded between two living hearts. You're not a burden, I say softly. You never were. Her throat works. But I cost you war. No, I answer. The world cost us war long before I found you. I only refuse to stand still and watch it continue. She finally looks up. Her eyes, those sharp green eyes, are not soft. They are fierce. You're changing everything, she whispers. I shake my head. She is. But I don't say it. Instead, I lean closer, forehead nearly touching hers, voice low enough only she can hear. You're not mine by chains. She inhales sharply. I finish, voice steady as the earth itself. You're mine by choice. Her lips part, trembling not from fear, but from the sheer force of feeling. And you, she whispers back, voice so quiet it nearly breaks me, are mine by the same. It is not a claim, it is a vow, not of possession, but of freedom shared. I think that is the moment I love her, fully, fiercely, without hesitation. Not the moment I first saw her, or first touched her, or first bled for her, but the moment I realize I'm not saving her. We are choosing each other, side by side, not as savior and saved, but as equals, as bondmates, as a future. Escape this world and step into one where romance and magic intertwine across realms, with stories that are not just standalone tales, but part of a vast, interconnected universe.
Imagine not just one, but 100 stories, where characters, destinies, and legends cross paths in unexpected ways.
100 audiobooks from the Romantasy 100 book bundle.
These aren't just isolated stories. They share themes, worlds, and threads that make every journey feel part of something grander.
Fated lovers, ancient prophecies, and the delicate balance between power and passion.
Get all of these stories today for a mind-blowing 90% off. That's right, 100 audiobooks for the price of 10.
800 hours of audio where these alpha males prove just how puny the human men of Protheka are. 12 complete series where they show their human women what they've been missing and more.
One-time purchase, lifetime access to a universe of interconnected magic and romance.
Protheka's magic is eternal. With the Romantasy 100 book bundle, your pleasure will be too.
Chapter 18. Evali. Winter begins to creep into the borderlands, thin ice webbing across fallen branches, breath clouding in the cold. The world feels still, too still. Even the crows are silent, as if they know something is waiting beneath the quiet. We have come to reinforce the watchposts, just a small perimeter check, nothing more. Or so we believe. Arvin walks a few paces ahead, steps soft, controlled. He moves like shadows and wildfire all at once. Watching him is like watching a blade sharpen itself. There is no wasted motion, no hesitation. He has grown since that first battle, more sure of himself, shoulders looser but stance grounded, like he has finally realized he isn't borrowing strength. He is strong, but strength does not stop what we cannot see. I feel it a heartbeat before it happens, the shift in the air, the way the silence tightens. "Arvin," I whisper. He turns. Arrows rain from the trees. We dive. He grabs me before I can fully react, twisting so his back faces the volley. The arrows snap against his plated armour, ricocheting, but one grazes my shoulder. Fire lances down my arm, hot and bright. Figures burst from the tree line, rival Vraken wearing dark war paint and bone talons. A hunting pack. No, an ambush. Prepared. Precise. They have been waiting for us. Arvin's snarl tears the air open. "Behind me!" His sword is already in his hand, silver catching frostlight as it meets the first attacker's blade. Sparks fly. The clash echoes like thunder among the roots. I don't listen. Words like behind me are chains made of silk. I will not be caged by love. Not his, not anyone's. I duck low, snagging a fallen dagger from the ground. The handle is familiar now, too familiar, and I hate that what once felt foreign has become part of me. But survival leaves no room for sentiment. A Vraken lunges toward me, faster, larger, stronger, but I have lived under men who believed size was all that mattered. I sidestep, driving the dagger into the gap beneath his arm. Warmth floods across my hand. He collapses, breath rattling. I don't stop to think. Battle is not thought. It is memory wearing hunger's skin. And survival is a language I speak fluently. Arvin is surrounded now. 4, no 6 warriors pressing in. His movements are beautiful, frightening, lethal grace and Perna-born speed. But even the fiercest fire can be smothered if the forest comes in thick enough. They are trying to overwhelm him. Because killing me wouldn't end this war. Killing him would. Something cold settles inside me. No. I will not watch him be taken. Not by force. Not by fate. Not by anyone. I sprint toward the ridge, where 2 archers are perched high among twisted branches, peppering the fight with deadly precision. Arvin can't reach them. No one can, not without exposing their back. But I know how to climb in silence. I have done it for years, reaching high windows to scrub glass no one looked through. My fingers dig into bark, legs coiling tight. The wound in my shoulder throbs, hot, but pain is only noise. I climb fast, breath hard, limbs burning. The archers don't notice me until I am already behind them. One turns. I shove his balance before he can draw. He topples from the branch, his body cracking through the undergrowth below. The second reaches for his bow, but I slam into him, both of us crashing to a lower branch. The impact tears something in my shoulder. White pain, blinding. But I hold on. I hold on. We struggle, limbs entangled, breath steaming in the cold air. His fangs graze my jaw, but I bring the dagger down, once, twice. His body goes still. My hands shake. I taste copper. Below, the pressure on Arvin shifts, and I see it happen, like the changing of a storm. He breaks through them. He doesn't just fight. He unleashes, not like a prince, not like a warrior taught, but like a thing born from blood and fire and purpose. He tears through the last fighter, blade ringing, breath ragged. He turns, eyes glowing like embers ground from stars, searching for me. Our gaze locks, and I feel it. His terror, his relief, his fury, his love, all tangled and burning through the bond that has woven between us, long before either of us agreed to it. But I move too slowly. Another warrior, hidden, waiting, steps from behind the tree at my perch, and drives a spear toward my ribs. I twist, but not fast enough. The spear catches me just below the ribs, a white-hot burst that steals sound from the world. I fall. But I do not fall far. Strong arms catch me, the world stopping as if it refuses to let me touch the ground. Arvin. He cradles me as if I were something breakable, something precious. His voice breaks around my name. Evali, Evali, stay with me. I want to answer. I try. But the world swims hazy around the edges, cold creeping into my fingertips. I force my hand to lift, fingers curling into his chest plate. I need him to hear me, to understand. My voice is barely a breath, but it feels like the only truth I have ever spoken. Don't let them cage us again. His breath shudders. Not a gasp, not a cry. Something deeper, a vow breaking open. His forehead presses against mine, his voice raw and molten. Never, not while I breathe, not while I burn. The world tilts, but his arms hold me firm. I am not a prize, a burden, or even a symbol. I am his, yes, but not by fate, or bond, or destiny, by choice. And I am choosing him back, even now, even bleeding, even afraid. Because love is not a chain. It is a door we open barefoot, stepping into the unknown, together.
Chapter 19. Arvin. The reflection pool is never meant for war. Even now, beneath the smoke and the clash of steel, I can see its surface, a wide mirror of still water, framed by winter-bare willows and smooth black stone. In peace, the elders say the pool shows one's truest self. Tonight, it reflects only fire. The enemy banners snap in the cold wind, bone-white sigils smeared in blood-red paint. Their war horns cry out across the glade, echoing against the cliffs like the howling of beasts. Snow has begun to fall, quiet and relentless, dusting the ground in white, mocking the violence that tears it apart. I stand at the front of our line, breath fogging, sword already in my hand. My father once led armies here. My mother once changed the world here. But this is my war. Behind me, my coven waits, humans and Vraken side by side, the old world and the new one breathing the same air. Marion whispers strategy. Auric stands ready, massive arms crossed, expression grim. Isolde hovers close to the healers, one hand on the swell of her stomach. Arazel's dagger flashes as she twirls it in restless anticipation. And Evali is beside the healers, wrapped in bandages, still recovering, not fighting. I feel her eyes on me. I feel everything. But this battle is mine to win. I step forward, boots crunching in snow. The rival coven's commander strides to meet me. Lord Vaylor's war champion, armored in obsidian scale. His voice carries like a storm through the hush before violence. You should not be alive. The boy who defied covenant law should have been executed. This world is not yours to rewrite. I do not raise my weapon yet. I let the silence breathe. Let them see me, the son of Mira, the grandson of Selen's legacy, the heir to both shadow and dawn. No, I say, voice steady. This world is not yours to keep frozen. His lip curls. Then die for your delusion. He lunges, and the battle begins. The first clash is sound and motion, blades ringing, sparks scattering, snow kicked into the air like ash. I move before thought, muscle, instinct, blood memory guiding every strike. Auric's training in every parry, my mother's precision in every pivot, my father's ferocity in every thrust. But something more runs through me tonight, the memory of Evali's body going limp in my arms, the sound of her whisper, "Don't let them cage us again." It burns in me like a second heart. I drive the war champion back step by step, sword arcing silver through falling snow. Behind us, the armies collide, screams, steel, the breaking of ice, the roar of rock and fury, the cries of human defenders. But all I know is the man in front of me. His movements are brutal, sweeping, crushing, meant to overwhelm. Old war style, heavy, predictable. He thinks I will meet strength with strength. He thinks I will be my father. He is wrong. I duck beneath a hammering blow and move inside his guard like water around stone, not resisting, simply passing through. My blade slides between plates of armor, cutting where he does not expect anyone fast enough to reach. He grunts, staggers. I don't give him time to recover. A second slash, severing tendons. A third, cutting across his ribs. He falls to one knee, breath ragged. What are you? The answer rises in me. Not arrogance, not fury. Truth. I am what comes after fear. I drive my blade through his heart. The moment the war champion falls, a ripple goes through the battlefield. A shift. A tremor. A collective intake of breath. The rival warriors hesitate, and the whispers begin. He isn't like the others. He fights like both fire and night. They are afraid. Good. Fear is a weapon, but I do not wield it to crush. I wield it to free. I point my sword toward their lines, voice ringing across the reflection pool. Lay down your arms and live. Continue, and I do not stop. For a heartbeat, no one moves. Then one of their archers fires. So be it. I charge. Not wild, not reckless. Precise. Auric's voice echoes in memory. Recklessness wastes strength. Precision ends wars. My blade moves through the battlefield like a line drawn through fate. I break shields with my shoulder, sweep feet from beneath attackers, strike quickly and cleanly. Not a single movement more than needed. No wasted flourishes. No cruel lingering. Only purpose. Soldiers fall. Others back away, stumbling, tripping over the dead and dying. Their lines fold. Our warriors surge behind me. But I do not revel. I do not roar. I only focus on keeping them alive, keeping the bloodshed from becoming slaughter, ending this as quickly as possible. A spear thrusts toward me. I catch it, snap it, and use the broken haft to knock the wielder unconscious rather than kill. A sword swings for my side. I parry, disarm, and kick the attacker back into the snow. And through it all, I feel Avali's gaze, not as weight, but as light. As I break through the final line, Lord Valor himself steps forward, old, tired, scarred, eyes shadowed by years of war he no longer believes in. He sees his warriors falling, their resolve broken, their fear is too strong. He knows. He drops his weapon into the snow. It ends, he says. I lower my blade. The battlefield stills. The wind exhales. Snow falls, soft and endless, covering blood and steel alike. I feel my heart slowing, my breath steadying, my body trembling, not from exhaustion, but from the sudden weight of realization. I have done it, not alone, never alone, but because I have finally stopped trying to be someone else's son. I fought as myself. And when I turn toward the healer's line, Avali is already moving toward me, her steps slow, careful, still hurt, still healing, but her gaze bright and unshaken. She stops in front of me, looking up at me the way no one ever had, not as heir, not as prince, not as symbol. As Arvin, just Arvin. Her voice is soft, but it carries. You ended it. I shake my head. We ended it. Her fingers find mine, light, not claiming, not clinging, choosing. I close my hand around hers. Not chains, never chains. Fire in winter, dawn after night, freedom against all that would cage it. The reflection pool, finally still again, mirrors us both, side by side.
Chapter 20. Avali. The smoke rolls low across the battlefield, thick enough to taste, a bitter mix of iron, ash, and Vrakan ozone. Screams echo somewhere beyond the ridge. Steel crashes, magic hums. The reflection pool, once a place of quiet meditation, now mirrors only fire and war. I shouldn't be here. But here I am, kneeling beside a row of shackled humans hidden behind a shattered stone outcropping. My hands tremble as I work at the first lock. Not from fear, not entirely. It's something deeper, like standing at the edge of a cliff I've spent my entire life chained to, suddenly allowed to choose whether to jump or fly. Stay still, I whisper to the boy in front of me. He can't be older than 12. His lip quivers, but he nods. The lock clicks open. His eyes widen. Are we? Yes, I say, voice steadier than I feel. Run to the tree line. Don't look back. He sprints before I finish speaking. I move to the next human, then the next. My fingers move faster with each freed captive, muscle memory returning from years of being on the other side, being locked, dragged, held down. I know these chains. I know their cruelty. And now, finally, their weak points. Chaos thunders around us. Arvin's war cry splits the sky, the rival coven roaring back, the crash of bodies and magic colliding. Every second feels borrowed. When the last lock falls, I look up to find the final prisoner, the one I dreaded most, staring back at me. My former overseer. The man who used to drag me through the dirt when I slowed, who held a knife to my throat when I hesitated to obey, who laughed at my pain, who taught me that humans had only two purposes, service or suffering, no more. He kneels, chained, but somehow still proud, still tall, still the shadow that lived under my skin for years. Evali. His voice is unchanged, smooth, commanding. Free me. Free him. The absurdity of it makes something cold pulse through me. Why? I ask. Because you owe me. His eyes narrow. Because without me, you would have never been valuable enough to survive. The words hit like a fist and slide off like rain. Once they would have gutted me. But I am not the same girl he carved obedience into. Arvin taught me to fight. The coven taught me to breathe. Arizel taught me to choose. And in choosing, I became someone else. I stand slowly, meeting his gaze without dropping mine. I don't owe you anything. His jaw tightens. The battlefield noise crescendos, distant shouts, the crack of magic, Arvin's voice cutting through the air. But here, in this pocket of stillness, my world narrows to the man who shaped my chains, and the fragments of myself that remain. You think they'll keep you? He sneers. You think you're one of them now? A pet dressed in silk is still a pet. Old fear flickers in my gut. But it doesn't root. Because behind him, beyond the broken wall, I see Arvin. Blood smeared across his cheek, eyes burning with lethal focus. He's fighting through 3 warriors at once, moving like lightning and storm, like a creature born for the battlefield, and furious at the idea of losing anything he calls his own. And yet his gaze keeps flicking toward me, checking that I'm alive. No overseer has ever looked at me with anything but ownership. Arvin looks at me like I'm a promise. I lift my chin. I'm not a pet, and I'm not yours. I kneel, not to him but to the lock. My fingers hover over it. He inhales sharply, sensing the shift. Ivali, don't make this mistake. Once I'm free, I can speak for you. Get you returned to where you belong. They would welcome you back if... No. The word leaves me in a whisper that feels like a shout. I stand. I will free the humans, all of them, but not you. His eyes flash, first with confusion, then with dawning, seething rage. You don't get to decide that. But I do. For the first time in my life, I do. Before he can spit something cruel, the air behind him ruptures with a hiss of energy. A shadow falls over us. Arvin. He lands between us with a ferocity that makes the stone beneath his boots crack. His chest rises and falls like he's been breathing fire. Blood drips from his knuckles. His claws are halfway extended, teeth bared. He looks at my overseer as if seeing a ghost from my nightmares made flesh. The man goes still. I watch Arvin's rage gather like a storm. Not reckless, not blind, but sharp and devastating. A fury born from love, not possession. Arvin's voice is low and lethal. If you speak to her again, I will tear the tongue from your mouth. My breath catches, not in fear, but in something startlingly close to relief. Because he doesn't ask what happened. He doesn't need details. Arvin sees shadows on me like scars, and he chooses to stand between me and every one of them. The overseer's bravado finally cracks. He lifts his hands, chained wrists shaking. I surrender, he croaks. Take me to your leaders. I will negotiate. Arvin steps forward, but before he can move, Arik storms into the clearing with a handful of warriors behind him. His eyes sweep the scene and settle with disappointment. Not at us, but at the man kneeling. Not tonight, Arik growls. If he wants an audience, he'll wait until morning. Arvin doesn't take his eyes off the overseer as Arik's warriors seize him and drag him away. Not gently. When the last of them vanish into the smoke, silence settles around us again. Arvin turns to me, really turns. His face softens instantly, as if his bones remember tenderness the moment he sees me. He cups my cheek, brushing away soot I didn't realize was there. You freed them, he murmurs. I had to, I whisper. I couldn't leave them like that. You didn't. His voice breaks in the middle. You didn't leave anyone. My throat goes tight. The adrenaline drains from my body all at once, leaving me shaking. Arvin pulls me against him, and I let him. His arms wrap around my waist, his forehead pressing to mine. Even through the sound of battle continuing beyond the ridge, this moment feels suspended, quiet and sacred. I'm proud of you, he says, breath warm against my skin. More than I can ever say. The words burrow deep, right into the tender parts of me, still learning how to accept kindness, still learning how to be free. I close my eyes and breathe him in, blood, sweat, smoke, and something unbreakably Arvin. I thought I'd be afraid. Of him, he asks. Of choosing, I whisper. His hands hold me tighter. You chose right. For the first time, I believe him. And as the freed humans vanish into the woods, into lives that may finally be their own, I realize I've stepped into my own beginnings too. I survived my past. Tonight I defied it. And tomorrow, I will learn how to live beyond it.
Chapter 21. Arvin. The great hall erupts like a volcano of joy. Wine flows from barrels rolled up from the deepest cellars. Vintage reserves that Mira saved for occasions worth remembering. The liquid catches firelight, casting amber shadows across faces flushed with victory and relief. Laughter bounces off stone walls that have seen too much war, finally echoing with something lighter. Warriors slam tankards together, ale sloshing onto tables already sticky with celebration. Children dart between legs, shrieking with delight as they chase each other around the massive hearth. The fire roars high enough to lick the chimney stones, fed with wood that smells of pine and triumph. But it's the banners that make my chest swell. Chains, hundreds of them, strung like garlands from beam to beam. Not as symbols of bondage, but as trophies of liberation. Each link tells a story. A human freed, a life reclaimed, a future chosen instead of forced. They catch the light and throw it back in defiant gleams, transforming instruments of cruelty into declarations of hope. RSL perches on a table, boots dangling, regaling a crowd with the tale of how she once picked a lock with a chicken bone. Her audience howls with laughter, especially when she demonstrates the technique using a dinner knife and oryx belt buckle. "And that," she declares, brandishing the knife like a sword, "is why you never trust a reformed thief with your valuables." Auric rolls his eyes but grins. "Good thing I married you before you could steal anything important." "Who says I haven't already?" Arizel winks and pockets his coin purse without him noticing. Near the hearth, Isolde and Marion teach a group of newly freed humans a drinking song, something bawdy about a Vraken who fell in love with a thunderstorm. The humans stumble over the words, but their voices grow stronger with each verse, confidence blooming in the warmth of acceptance. Mira moves through the crowd like a queen among her people, stopping to clasp shoulders, kiss foreheads, murmur words of pride and gratitude. Her smile outshines the firelight. Soren follows in her wake, less demonstrative but no less pleased. His nods carry the weight of approval earned through blood and courage. And there, near the far wall, helping an elderly freedwoman to a chair, is Ivali. My breath catches. She's changed into clean clothes, a simple green dress that brings out her eyes, her hair braided loose down her back. But it's not her appearance that stops me cold. It's the way she moves, unhurried, unafraid. She laughs at something the old woman says, the sound bright and unguarded. Free. She looks free. I weave through the crowd, accepting backslaps and congratulations with distracted smiles. My focus narrows to her, the graceful line of her neck, the way she tilts her head when she listens, the gentle confidence in her gestures as she helps arrange cushions. When I'm close enough to smell her skin, soap and something uniquely Ivali, I slip up behind her. My arms circle her waist, pulling her back against my chest. She stiffens for half a heartbeat, then melts into me with a sigh that sounds like coming home. I brush her hair aside and press my lips to the curve where her neck meets her shoulder. Her pulse flutters against my mouth, and I can't resist scraping my teeth lightly across her skin. She shivers. "Arvin," she breathes, but there's laughter in it. I nip at her earlobe just enough to make her gasp. "What do you say we go celebrate in private?" She turns in my arms, green eyes sparkling with mischief. "Tired of sharing me with the crowd already?" "Always," I murmur against her temple. "But tonight, I want to celebrate the woman who freed a dozen humans while the rest of us were busy hitting things with swords." Her cheeks flush pink. "I just did what needed doing." "Exactly." I brush a strand of hair from her face. "My brave, magnificent mate." The word mate still makes her breath catch, not with fear anymore, but with something deeper. Recognition, acceptance, choice. She glances around the hall, taking in the revelry, the joy, the chains transformed into symbols of victory. "They won't miss us?" I follow her gaze to where Arizel is now standing on the table, leading the entire hall in a chorus that's definitely not appropriate for children. Mira throws her head back and laughs. Soren actually cracks a smile. "I think they're sufficiently distracted," I say. Ivali grins, that sharp, wicked expression that never fails to make my pulse spike. "Then lead the way, my lord." I capture her hand and pull her toward the stairs, weaving between dancers and drinkers and storytellers. No one stops us, though Arizel catches my eye and makes an obscene gesture that has Ivali choking on laughter. The sounds of celebration follow us up the stone steps, growing fainter with each flight until only the echo of our footsteps remains. But the warmth stays with us, the knowledge that below, our people feast and laugh and plan for a future where freedom isn't stolen, but given. Where chains become banners, where love becomes choice, and where tonight we celebrate not just victory, but the beginning of everything we fought to build. The heavy oak door clicks shut behind us, muffling the celebration below. Ivali's back presses against the wood as I lift her, swallowing her gasp with my mouth. Her lips taste of victory wine and something sweeter, uniquely hers. I carry her toward the bed, kissing her like she's air and I've been drowning. This scene is about to get too steamy for this platform's comfort, As much as we'd love to keep going, their guidelines say we need to stop here.
To continue releasing these free audiobooks on this platform, we've got to play by the rules.
The passion doesn't end here.
Visit worldsofprotheka.com to hear the full, uncut version of this fantasy romance, and every daring moment that YouTube can't handle.
Use code YouTube30 for 30% off unabridged audiobooks in the worlds of Protheka.
Don't let YouTube hold you back. Immerse yourself in a world of magic, danger, and unfiltered passion.
Protheka's magic is eternal.
Listen unabridged and you'll never want to go back.
Later, my fangs find her throat in the candlelight. Blood blooms copper sweet. Her hand fists in my hair, pulling me closer as I drink. You don't bind me. Her whisper rasps against my temple. You free me. I seal the wound with my tongue. Below us, the coven still sings. Above, our chains hang as trophies. Here, between furs and fractured wood, we forged something new.
Chapter 22. Evali. Morning comes quietly. Too quietly for a world that was at war only hours ago. I wake to the weight of Arvin's arm draped over my waist, heavy and warm, anchoring me against his chest. His breath is slow, steady, the sound of a man who gave everything to protect his people, and then gave the last of himself to me. Last night feels unreal, like something spun out of fever or longing. We found each other in the aftermath of blood and smoke, desperation still clinging to our skin, and when we touched, it was with a hunger edged in relief, raw, consuming, honest. I remember every gasp, every whispered vow, every time he looked at me like I was not a burden or a symbol or a wound, but a choice he kept making. Now, in the pale morning light, that memory feels too large for my chest. I shift slightly, trying not to wake him, but his arm tightens instantly, instincts always sharp. His voice rumbles sleepily against the back of my neck. Where are you going? Nowhere, I murmur. Not yet. He hums, burying his face between my shoulder blades, and for a few stolen breaths, I let myself exist only here, warm, safe, wanted. But reality is a heavy thing. We both feel it pressing in from beyond the bedroom walls, the council meeting, the rival coven's leaders, the consequences of last night's battle, and the truth that will inevitably come to light. I sit up slowly. Arvin watches me with that soft, bruised look he gets only when he's not trying to be strong. Evali. I'm all right, I say, though my heartbeat tells another story. We should get ready. He doesn't argue. That alone tells me how serious today will be. When we enter the Great Hall, the energy is thick enough to choke on. Leaders of both covens fill the chamber, armed warriors lining the walls, elders gathered in semicircles, Mira standing at the forefront like carved jade, calm and unyielding. Sorin towers beside her, jaw tight. Across from them, the rival coven's delegation kneels in a formal gesture of surrender. It should be a relief. Instead, the room crackles with something sharper than victory. Arvin's hand brushes mine as we step in, not holding, but steadying. A silent, I'm here. And also, I suspect, a silent stay behind me if things turn dangerous. I take my place slightly to the side, close enough to feel his presence, but far enough not to overshadow what must happen. Humans rarely attend these gatherings. My presence alone draws stares, whispers curling like smoke. Let the council convene, Mira says. The rival leader, a tall, grey-skinned Vrakan with a scar bisecting his throat, speaks first. His voice is gravel pulled through cold water. We accept defeat. We swear no further attacks, no retaliation, no claims upon your territory. A collective breath releases around the room. But then he looks directly at Arvin, and I see the real reason they came. There is one matter, he says slowly, we cannot leave unspoken. The hall stills. Even the fires seem to pause their crackling. What is he? A ripple of unease trembles through the room. Not surprise, fear, curiosity, wariness. The leader continues. He fights beyond the Fracken, stronger, faster, but also too cunning, too coordinated for the corrupted ones. No one moves like that. No one thinks like that. I feel Arvin tense beside me. He knows this question. He has lived in the shadow of it his entire life. The leader's gaze sharpens. We ask, what is he? The whisper spreads like wind through tall grass. What is he? What is he? What is he? My throat tightens. They aren't wrong to ask. I saw him fight yesterday, saw the way he moved like something caught between storm and flame, saw warriors twice his size fall like reeds, but hearing it spoken aloud, here, with the weight of so many eyes on him, it feels like someone peeling back a piece of him that he never meant to expose. A layer of armour he has worn since birth is about to be stripped away. Sorin steps forward, voice deep and edged. He is my son. That is all you need to know. It is almost a threat. But Mira touches his arm gently, and somehow even Sorin yields beneath her hand. She turns to the gathered hall. Her expression is calm, but her eyes hold the gravity of someone preparing to change a kingdom. The truth, Mira says, has been kept for his protection, and for the peace of our people. Arvin stands perfectly still. He doesn't look away from her. He doesn't look surprised. He looks resigned. He knew this moment would come eventually. He just hoped it wouldn't be today. I inch closer to him, instinctively. Mira continues. Arvin is the child of Fracken and Perna. The hall erupts, gasps, shouts, disbelieving cries. Some voices rise in awe, others are in fear, a few are in outright anger. He should not exist, someone yells. He survived, another whispers, trembling. Perna blood is impossible. Blasphemy. Miracle. Mira raises a hand, and silence falls like a blade. This is not corrupted magic, not the void-tainted power that ruined the old bloodlines. Her voice rings with conviction. Perna were the ancient strength of our world. Their spirit is not cursed, but balanced. Wisdom. Discipline. Her gaze flicks briefly to Arvin, pride and sorrow intertwined. His existence is not an abomination. It is proof that we need not fall to the chaos that consumes so many. But the rival leader steps forward again, shaking his head. Then he is both hope and a threat. The room tenses. He continues, voice low but steady. If one such as him exists naturally, what of others? Will more be born? Will covens seek to replicate this bloodline? Wage war for it? Destroy each other over the possibility of power? Murmurs swell, panicked and hungry all at once. I glance at Arvin. His jaw is set, eyes hard. He bears the scrutiny like physical blows, familiar and heavy. This is the burden he has carried in silence for years, the knowledge that his very existence is a political storm waiting to break. I reach for his hand without thinking. He doesn't flinch. He holds mine tightly, like he needs the reminder that now that the secret is out, he does not have to stand alone in the wreckage. Mira speaks again, her tone cool and cutting. Arvin is not a weapon. He is not a lineage to exploit. He is a leader of this coven, and he will be treated as such. The declaration rings out like a vow. Yet the unease doesn't vanish. It lingers like a shadow, clinging to the edges of the hall. Arvin stands straighter, meeting every gaze without apology. But I feel the tension radiating through him, the weight of the target now painted on his back. The rival leader bows, slow and respectful. We accept peace, and the truth. He pauses. But know this, The world will not ignore him. Not now. And with that warning, their delegation withdraws. The hall begins to empty. But Arvin stays still, hand still gripping mine, eyes fixed on nothing. "Arvin," I whisper. He turns toward me, not with fear, but with the quiet devastation of someone whose shield has finally been shattered. "I don't know what they'll make me," he murmurs. "A symbol, a target, a myth." I step closer, lifting his hand between ours. "You are Arvin," I say softly. "And whatever the world decides, I choose you. Not for your blood, not for your strength, for you." His breath shudders out of him, and for the first time since the hall erupted, something soft breaks through his armour. He leans his forehead against mine, grounding himself, not in legend, but in the one place he is simply a man. "Evali," he whispers, voice rough, "stay with me. I'm here. Not from him, not from this future, not from the truth of what he is becoming, and maybe of what I am too."
Chapter 23. Arvin. The hall is too quiet. Not silent. Quiet. The kind of stillness that sinks into bones, heavy and expectant, like the air itself is holding its breath. 100 eyes are still on me. Rival coven warriors press against the far wall, some leaning on their spears, others still nursing wounds from the battle at the reflection pool. My people stand nearer, my family, my allies, forming a living barrier between me and the strangers. But even they watch me with a strange new solemnity. I don't like it. I don't want this kind of attention. The kind that makes me feel less like a man and more like a blade being weighed on a scale. A symbol, a threat, a promise. Mira stands before the assembly, shoulders straight, face calm as snowfall. Soren flanks her, arms folded, his expression a stone that has seen centuries. They have just told the rival coven what only a few in this hall ever knew, that I am not simply Vraken, not simply Perna, something forged between them with intention, with hope, with rebellion. I feel exposed, flayed. Evali, standing near Marion, reaches for me ever so slightly, her fingers brushing air near mine. Not touching, just reminding me she is there. It grounds me, barely. Then the questions start. "He fights like a demon," one rival elder whispers. "No Vraken moves like that," another hisses. "Not even King Drazian did. Is he a weapon? Or salvation? What else does he hide?" And then, the one that matters most, the one that carves open the hall like a blade in the dark. What is he? Now, with Mira's confession hanging in the air like smoke after fire, fear mingles with awe. Respect battles with caution. Hope tangles with dread. I can't breathe. Not truly. Not until someone, anyone, says something to end this suffocating scrutiny. Mira steps down from the dais first. Soren follows her. Both of them approach me at once. The crowd parts before them like waves before a prow. For the first time in hours, maybe days, I feel like a child again. Standing too small, too fragile, too uncertain before two legends who'd shaped the realm. My parents. And now, they're coming for me. I brace myself. Mira reaches me first. Her hands come up, not to reprimand, not to hold me back from some reckless leap, not to steady the hall, but to cradle my face. Just her palms on my cheeks, cool and trembling. My knees nearly buckle. Her eyes, gray-green with flecks of winter light, search mine as though she can read every scar, every choice, every sin. She doesn't speak at first. She simply looks at me like she bad when I was young, after nightmares, after fever, after battles lost and lessons failed. Then she whispers, low enough only I can hear, "You are the dawn after us." My chest tightens painfully. "You carry what we built," she continues. "You carry what we died for. Don't waste it, Arvin. I swallow. Hard. My voice won't come. Not with the entire hall listening. Not with her looking at me like that. Like she sees everyone I have ever been and everyone I fear becoming. So I nod. It is all I can manage. Mira's thumb brushes my cheekbone once before she steps aside. Then Soren is in front of me. Night and Storm in one man. Father and Commander and Myth. His jaws clench so tightly I hear the faintest click of teeth. For a heartbeat, I think he'll hit me. Like he nearly did weeks ago, when this conflict first flared. But he doesn't. He just stares at me. Long, heavy, unreadable. And then, without warning, he seizes the back of my neck and pulls me forward until our foreheads touch in the old warrior's vow. A sound rises in my throat, half choked, half stunned. My father has never done this with me. Not once. Not ever. He breathes out slowly, like exhaling a lifetime of stubborn anger. You think I was ashamed of you, he says low. You think I doubted you. My fingers curl at my sides. Didn't you? His grip tightens, not harsh but fiercely grounding. I was afraid, he rumbles. Afraid that I would lose you like we lost them. Afraid that my temper, my failures, my past would bury you before you even lived. He draws another breath, voice roughening. But today, at the reflection pool, his voice cracks, barely audible. You fought with honor. You fought with cunning. You fought with mercy. My heart slams against my ribs. You fought like both Purna and Vraken, he finishes. The echo of Arik's earlier words hits me again. This time sharper, deeper. Soren pulls back just enough to meet my eyes. I am proud of you, he says. The world stops. Everything, every doubt, every weight, every shouted criticism, every cold glare, falls away beneath the force of those 4 impossible words. He isn't done. His voice lowers, rough and worn from centuries of command. I buried my pride because I was frightened, but no more. You are my son, my heir, my dawn. And then, gods curse me, I nearly break. But before I can speak, before my voice can betray the storm rising inside me, the council clerk clears her throat. Matriarch Mira, Leader Soren, the rival coven awaits your terms. The hall snaps back into its rigid formality. Mira steps forward again, composure gathered like a cloak. Soren releases me, though his hand lingers on my shoulder for a heartbeat longer. A silent promise that the words he'd spoken are real, not some battle-dying dream. The rival elders move to the center of the hall, their robes still stained with dust and blood from the morning's fight. Lady Drisana bows her head first, sharp, precise, calculated. We concede, she says, fully, unconditionally. Shock ripples through both sides of the hall. Her counterpart, Lord Vaylor, places his sword on the ground, a gesture older than the covens themselves. No more blood, he says. Not after what we witnessed today. His eyes flick to me, a mixture of awe and wariness. But it is the next thing he says that makes the hall stiffen like pulled steel. We would be fools to wage war against a force we do not understand, or a leader capable of such fire. Murmurs rise. Mira lifts a hand, silencing them. State your terms, she commands. Drisana bows deeper. Peace, trade, shared patrols, and the return of all human slaves in our territory who wish to leave. A volley gasps somewhere behind me. I feel it like a pulse against my spine. And, Vaylor adds, voice dipping lower, we recognize Arvin, son of Mira and Soren, as rightful heir to this territory. Another murmur ripples. This one sharper, almost dangerous. A recognition I hadn't asked for. A legacy I hadn't yet accepted. The elders bow. The hall bows. The alliance is fragile, held together by a single battle, a single day, a single revelation. But it is real, and it is mine to uphold. The weight of it settles on me then, not like chains, not like duty used to feel, but like armor. Heavy, yes, but fitted to my skin, forged from everything I was and everything I could become. I turn, searching for Avali. She stands near the front now, green eyes bright, not with fear, not with doubt, but with something new. Pride. She nods once, and for the first time since this began, I feel ready. Ready to lead. Ready to stand beside her. Ready to become the man Mira and Soren believed I could be. The dawn after them. And God's help anyone who tries to stop me.
Earth is pretty much a desolate wasteland since the orcs came over from Protheka, and being a woman, the best you can hope is to be someone's property. Now, after my curvy body catches Korthar's eye, he'll claim me, and I'll serve him, in any way he pleases.
You're mine now. Listen to this story and more when you get the complete Orc Warriors of Protheka audiobook and ebook bundle.
40 books, 19 audiobooks, 19 ebooks. You even get 1 free novella and 1 free audiobook.
All for a shocking 90% off.
Protheka's magic is eternal, and the complete Orc Warriors of Protheka bundle will bring over 100 hours of that magic to you. Chapter 24. Evali. The sky is still washed in the pale colours of dawn when Aricel finally finds me. I stand at the cliff's edge overlooking the valley, arms wrapped around myself, though the morning isn't cold. The air here always tastes strangely new, like a world I am still learning to breathe. "You're shaking," she murmurs. "I'm thinking," I answer. Aricel steps beside me, the wind tugging her silver hair across her face. "Thinking," she repeats gently, "or trying to convince yourself not to run?" My throat tightens. "Both." She doesn't press. She just slips her arm through mine, grounding me the way only someone who once lived in chains could. "Freedom is loud in the beginning. It echoes," she says. "Don't mistake the echo for doubt." I try to smile, but my chest feels too heavy for it. In the distance below us, the council hall is stirring. Voices rising, armour clinking, the remnants of yesterday's fragile peace gathering like dust that refuses to settle. Arvin will be there soon. I can already feel the pull of him, the gravitational certainty that has changed the course of everything I have ever known. And that is the problem. I don't want him to be the reason I stay. I don't want anyone to be. When Aricel squeezes my hand, it breaks something loose inside me. "You can love someone," she says quietly, "and still choose yourself." "I know," I whisper. "It just hurts." "It's supposed to." I close my eyes. "Do you think he'll hate me for it?" "No," Aricel says instantly. "He'll hurt, but he won't hate." Behind us, footsteps approach, swift, unmistakable. Isolde, Marion, the 3 women who have become something like sisters, despite barely knowing each other before liberation set us all free. "You're really going?" Marion breathes. Her voice cracks on the last word. "I need to," I say. "If I stay now, I'll always be wondering what the world is like past these mountains, past the caverns, past the cages." Isolde's expression softens. "Then go. Go before you talk yourself out of it." "I'm not talking myself out of it," I say. "But I am. Gods, I am trying so hard not to crumble. This place, this peace, it has come so fast. I've only had a handful of days where I wasn't owned. And suddenly I'm expected to stay, to belong." My voice wavers. But I don't even know who I am yet. Marion steps forward and brushes a stray curl from my cheek. "Then go find out," she whispers. "Freedom sometimes means leaving." The words land deep, gentle and painful at once. They embrace me, one by one, and their breath against my neck unravels the last thread holding me together. When they step back, their eyes are bright, but their smiles are steady. "You'll come back," Aracel says. "You don't know that." "You will," she insists. "You're not running from love. You're running toward yourself." A tremor runs through me. I'm trying. "Then go." But I can't, not yet. Because behind me, footsteps heavier than all the rest approach. Slow, measured, familiar. I don't turn. I can't. "Ivali." His voice strikes me like a warm wind, rough, deep, threaded with everything we shared the night before. Dawn still burns on my skin where he touched me. I swallow hard and finally turn. Arvin looks wrecked. Not in the physical sense. He never looks anything less than carved from war and wilderness. But something in his eyes has cracked wide open. As if the council's praise, his parents' acceptance, the weight of legacy settling onto his shoulders. None of it matters compared to this moment. Compared to me. His gaze flicks over my travel pack. "So it's true." I nod. "Yes." He swallows visibly. "You plan to leave without saying goodbye?" "I wasn't leaving without saying goodbye," I say softly. "I just didn't trust myself to look at you for too long." He steps closer. "Look at me now." And I do. His hands hover near my waist, as if he is fighting himself not to pull me into him. The memory of his touch, his mouth, his body, rises like heat up my spine. The night we shared wasn't gentle, it was honest, desperate, healing, acclaiming and unclaiming all at once. "Ivali," he says, voice rougher than before. "You don't have to choose between the world and me." "Yes," I whisper. "I do." His jaw clenches. "I can go with you." "No." I shake my head. "Your people need you. Your legacy needs you. Yesterday proved that." He looks away, breathing unevenly. "I don't care about any of that right now." "But you will," I say softly. "You were born to lead them, to change them. I can't take you away from that." He closes the distance between us in one step, hands finally finding my waist. His touch is a brand, familiar, grounding, agonizing to think of losing. "Tell me this isn't forever," he whispers. His forehead presses to mine. "Don't make me watch you walk away and think I've lost you." His voice breaks. That shatters me. My hands rise on instinct, cupping his jaw. "This isn't forever," I whisper fiercely. "This isn't goodbye." His breath shudders out against my lips. "Swear it." "I swear." His lips crash into mine, desperate, aching, full of the fear neither of us wants to name. The kiss tastes like promise and grief, and every moment we hadn't had time to live yet. When he pulls back, he looks like he wants to memorize every line of my face. "Come back to me," he says. I will. He finally lets go, and the loss of his touch is a physical ache. I turn toward the path leading east, toward forests and mountains and oceans I'd only ever heard stories about, toward the world I'd been denied. With each step, my heart pulls in two directions. Freedom tugs forward. Love tugs back. I don't know where the balance will land. I only know this. I am not done becoming, and I am not done with him. I don't look back, not because I don't want to, but because I would break if I saw his face again. At the horizon's edge, the sun finally climbs high enough to cast my shadow long across the path. A reminder that I am real, that this choice is mine. My footsteps carry me into the light, not away from him, just forward, just free.
Chapter 25. Arvin. Weeks pass, and the world does not slow to let me mourn her absence. It moves around me, fierce, demanding, relentless, and I move with it, because that is what leaders do. That is what sons of Mira and Soren do. That is what the dawn after them does. But every sunrise still tastes faintly of her. The training fields are already thick with dust and youthful grunts of effort when I arrive each morning. Young Vraken, some barely more than boys, gather around me with blades too large for their hands and eagerness too sharp for their control. Their wings flutter with nervous energy, shadows flickering across the packed earth. Again, I tell them, stepping back to watch their stances. They obey, clumsy but improving. Balance, I call. Strength without direction is chaos. Purpose without strength is empty. You need both. A younger one, barely past his first shift, frowns. How do we get both, Commander? The title still feels foreign. Too large. Too official. I step behind him, adjusting the way he holds his blade. You don't force it. You hone it. You practice until the blade becomes part of you, until your body answers before your fear can. His eyes widen a little. Like you? I pause. For a moment the world flashes with memories. Battle at the reflection pool, whispers that I fought like something beyond Vraken, beyond corrupted magic. Mira's words echoing. You are the dawn after us. I swallow. Someday, if you're willing to learn. The boy's shoulders straighten. I am. Good. They will need to be strong, all of them. The world is shifting. Alliances changing. Old wounds reopening. And if peace is to survive, these young warriors had to grow with it, not repeat the cycles that nearly destroyed us. By mid-morning, the council chambers call me away, Isolde intercepting me at the entrance, her hand unconsciously resting on the swell of her stomach. You're late, she teases, though her voice is thin with exhaustion. You need rest, I counter. I need activity more, she says, smiling despite the shadows beneath her eyes. Otherwise I'll fall asleep on Lucian's shoulder and drool through another meeting. I snort. I imagine he'd survive. But the others wouldn't. We walk into the chamber together, and the room shifts, conversations tapering, eyes turning. Some are familiar, some are still wary, and some belong to those who once raised steel against me. The rival coven, now tentative allies, occupies the left circle of seats. Their expressions are guarded, but they are here. That matters more than their reluctance. As Isolde and I take our places, one of their leaders inclines his head respectfully. It is awkward, stilted, but it is something. Mira's influence, Soren's strategy, the council's persistence, and God's help me, my presence. I can feel their attention lingering on me longer than necessary. Not with fear, not anymore, but something closer to calculation, curiosity, wariness wrapped in respect. The eldest of them finally speaks. Your appointment stands? Yes, I answer. Liaison between our covens, to maintain consistency in negotiation and defense. He studies me. You have power beyond your age, beyond your bloodline. My bloodline, I correct evenly, is precisely why I'm suited for this role. He does not contest it. None of them do. Mira's announcement weeks earlier has seen to that. Child of Vraken and Purna. A bloodline uncorrupted, yet stronger than either alone. A legacy I didn't choose, but one I carry nonetheless. The meeting stretches into late afternoon. Talk of territory borders, shared guardianship of mountain passes, cooperative rights for the coming seasonal shift. Dry details. Necessary ones. Isolde drifts between sharp clarity and absent-minded fatigue, and I make silent notes each time she blinks too long or shifts uncomfortably. She catches me staring once, raises a brow. If you excuse me because I'm pregnant, I will personally throw you out the window. Wouldn't dream of it, I mutter. This room needs your bite. She smirks. Good answer. When the meeting adjourns at last, the rival coven files out with subdued politeness. Progress, if fragile and slow. I walk Isolde to her quarters, ignoring her half-hearted protests. If you fall over, Lucien will blame me. She snorts. He blames you for everything anyway. True. She pauses at her door, hand lingering on the frame. You're doing well, Arvin. The others see it, even if they don't say it. I'm not doing it for their approval. No, you're doing it because it's right. And because someone has to shape the future. Might as well be the one born for it. The words strike deeper than she knows. When she disappears inside, I finally allow myself to gather the exhaustion that had trailed me all day. My chambers weren't far. Simple stone and iron, a fire still burning from earlier. I push open the door. Stop. A letter lies on my desk, sealed in soft blue wax. My heart stutters, then pounds. I cross the room in 3 steps, hands trembling before I even touch it. Vali's handwriting. I know it instantly. Slanted, neat but bold, shaped by years of caution and recent bursts of freedom. My thumb hovers over the seal. I close my eyes, breathe once, then break it open. Paper unfolds. Her scent rises like a ghost. Salt, wild earth, faint sweetness of the salves she favored. Arvin. Her voice lives in the strokes of the ink. I hope you're well. I hope you're more than well. I hope you're breathing easier than I am because this world is vast and it's breathtaking. And sometimes I have to sit down just to make sure it's real. I sink onto the edge of the bed, pulse accelerating. I've seen cities built into cliffsides lit by firefly lanterns. Seas so wide they shine like silver from horizon to horizon. Markets filled with music and spices I still can't name. For the first time, I understand what it means to be small in a way that's not terrifying, but beautiful. My chest tightens. The freedom you gave me, not by giving permission, but by refusing to cage me, has become the wind at my back. My throat burns. I'm discovering myself in pieces. Some I like, some I'm still learning. But all of it feels possible because I know what I left behind is not a chain, but a choice. My vision blurs slightly. I miss you. The words hit me harder than any blade ever had. But missing you doesn't pull me backward. It pulls me forward, toward the person I'm becoming, toward the life I want, toward the day I return. Not because I must, but because I choose to. I exhale shakily, gripping the page until it crinkles. This isn't forever. This isn't goodbye. Ivali. The room is silent, but inside me, something settles, something fierce and steady. Not possession, not desperation. Resolve. She will return. And when she does, I will not meet her as a captor in love with her freedom. I will meet her as her equal, as her mate. I fold the letter carefully, reverently, and hold it to my chest. Let the world shift. Let alliances tremble. Let legacies weigh heavily. I can bear all of it, because she chose me, and I will wait, weeks, months, years if needed, not as a chain, but as a promise, as dawn waits for its star to return.